welcome, my friends. This is Macil Duncan, and this is the Macil Duncan Radio Show, live from Chattanooga. I'll be broadcasting on USA Radio Network, as well as Street Level America, DestinyMedia.com, Locals, Macil Duncan Radio, and a plethora of other networks and social media. Thanks so much for listening and telling your friends about the Macil Duncan Radio Show. Lots going on today. Southern Baptists have made the headlines. A vote to ban women ministers has failed. Now, a week and a half ago, First Baptist Richmond, Virginia, withdrew from the Southern Baptist Convention. I think they thought the motion was going to pass. You wonder if churches such as them would try to re-enter the Southern Baptist Convention. I don't know, but it's a very interesting thing. We'll talk about that and their new president that was elected and took two rounds of voting. So Southern Baptists are still, I think, still trying to find themselves. They're in new generational leadership. And the sad thing is there's a lot of, there's just a lot of opinions. And when you have that many opinions, it's just hard to please everybody. And that's just the fact, Jacks. Daily Wire, GOP lawmakers introduce a bill to wipe out DEI. We'll talk about that. They want to get rid of DEI across the federal bureaucracy. Now, that's the conservative GOP. I don't think all the GOP is in favor of that, but that'll be interesting. The Washington Examiner, Biden's net approval rating drops to the lowest level ever, and we'll talk about that. A seventh grader and sister were expelled from school. You're not going to believe this. That's right. A seventh grader and a sister were expelled. You know what their deadly deed was? How dare they? The principal expelled them for using the word patriotism. I kid you not. The principal said that's a dirty word in their school. And so because they used the word patriotism, he expelled siblings. A disabled woman facing eviction for sharing Christian message, that's an atrocity too. Well, the Blaze Media pro-life Buckner backlash signals big trouble for Biden, as he thought he was going to gain some ground by being so pro-life, and I don't think that's going to happen. Well, Blaze Media pro-lifer Buckner, as I mentioned, I think is going to find themselves finding this is not going to be a very acceptable way to move forward. Now, USA Today's Southern Baptist, as I said, rejected the ban on pastors or women pastors in a historic vote. And I think it's going to be one that lingers for a while. The Baptist Faith and Message says that their president was elected by a runoff system. And as I said, I'll mention that. Well, we're going to go to an early break here. I'll be right back. This is the Patriot Pastor, Macil Duncan.
Jesus said, "You do it unto the least of these, and it's as if you were doing it unto me." There are many hungry people in our communities. The Appleton Food Bank feeds over 3,000 people every month, and they could use your prayers. In these troubling times, the number of clients they are serving is increasing. You can make a donation today. Go online to AppletonBaptist.com. AppletonBaptist.com. Food drives, prayers, financial donations, all help. They have rented 2 old grocery stores. They're open 7 days a week for donations, and they distribute every Monday and Friday. The motto at Appleton Baptist Church is taking Jesus as he is to people as they are. And you can get involved and help feed the hungry. Go to the website, AppletonBaptist.com. You know, there is someone hungry in your world tonight. So as you're seated tonight at your dinner table, enjoying the mashed potato and steak off the barbecue grill, remember that there are many people in our communities, in our world, that are not as fortunate as you are. So please consider donating your time, funds, and food to your local food bank or food pantry. And as you enjoy the barbecue tonight, please remember them. Check on the widows, elderly, and the orphans as well. You can donate in the Appleton, Tennessee area to Appleton Baptist Church. They have a food pantry there that would love your support. And there are many food pantries all over America. We need to feed this nation in more ways than one, but one way that we can literally feed them is with food. Get involved and make a difference. Do you love God and do you love America? If you do, you're going to love this radio show, the Macil Duncan Radio Show, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Hear it right here at Destiny Life Media, 96.9 FM. You can also hear the show live and archives of the show at streetlevelamerica.com and usaheartbeat.com. Also hear it at macilduncanradio.com, Rumble, X, Truth Social, Facebook, and more. And we're working on growing the show nationwide. The Patriot Pastor of Appleton Baptist Church, he is Macil Duncan on the Macil Duncan Radio Show.
Hello, my friends. I am back, and I've got a special guest this afternoon with me, Dave Adams. He is the founder of USA Radio Heartbeat and StreetLevelAmerica.com. Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing really good here. We'll just reach over here, and we had some last minute things come up. I got caught in traffic here, and so we want to make sure that everybody can hear us. Well, I'm doing really good. Traffic is murder sometimes.
Oh yeah, especially coming up East Brainerd Road there, or even Appleton Pike. Either way you come into Appleton now, it's not an easy cheesy. You got a radio guest for us?
Yes, we do. We got a radio guest. We've been active politically. You know, I have never been so politically active in my life as I am right now. And I used to be like a lot of other people. I just hated politics, didn't really want to get involved in it. But when I hear stories about John coming home from school and wanting to be Jane, and the government is okay with that, and we're supposed to accept that, that's when I start getting politically active. And so I've met some good people in North Georgia. And we've got a guy on the phone right now, Tom Talbot. Tom, how you doing today?
Very good. Thank you for inviting me.
So we are working on a program to talk about some of the things that are going on in Georgia politics and in Georgia society and in American society. I'm often remembered of a sermon that I heard by Billy Graham at one point. I heard this on Sirius XM radio, and it always sticks with me. Billy Graham, now this is back a few years ago, of course. Billy Graham no longer with us, but I really value a lot of what he had to say. He said pastors and even Christians should have a Bible in one hand and a newspaper in the other hand. So often we hear Christians and people in society just are tired of the politics and want to divorce themselves from politics and say, well, I'll just go to church on Sunday, I'll do my Sunday thing, and then I'll go out into society. But that's not how Jesus lived, and that's not how we're supposed to live. And when we get to situations where the world is encroaching on the values, the societal basic foundational standards set by the Word of God and Jesus Christ in the Bible, then we as Christians have to get politically active. So I go again back to my story about a Bible in one hand and the newspaper in the other hand. We have to be involved and engaged in society because there's this pressure, there's this tension between Christian and non-Christian theologies, and one's going to win and one's not going to win. And there's this pressure, and we have to be engaged and be involved. We can't just give up. So I say that to say this. We are involved in a group, I'm involved in a group called MAGA Georgia. The website is ma-ga.org. I believe, and I know everybody likes to throw labels around, but Make America Great Again, in my book, is not a Donald Trump slogan. It's my slogan. I want to make America great again. What is wrong with making America great again? I've spent a lot of my past recent years working in an outreach called Operation Eagle's Wings, honoring all who serve and leaving no one behind. And we would go and we would visit Gold Star families, and we would talk to the mothers whose sons were tragically tortured to death in Iraq and Afghanistan. And their question and the cry from their heart is, did my son die in vain? Did my son die this torturous death in vain? or did he die for something great and something good? So America and independence is something that we need to really work on. Make America Great Again. So that's the name of the organization, MAGA.org, MAGA Georgia. We have an event coming up, and that's why I wanted to call Tom and get Tom on the phone. We're pretty excited about it. We're working on the details now. In fact, we were visiting the venue and doing some stuff yesterday to get ready for this. And one of the keynote speakers that we have is Laura Logan. Tell me a little bit about the event, Tom and Laura.
Well, Laura is very, I almost want to say world famous. She's originally from South Africa. I think she has the honor of being fired by ABC, CBS, and Fox for all being a truth teller. Because in mainstream media, you can only go so far before telling the truth gets everybody in trouble. And she now does speaking engagements, and she's on Rumble. But she, over her career, has had a phenomenal career, and she's an Emmy Award-winning journalist. We're working on a couple other people. We have another confirmation when we go to release the details, because we're still waiting for another headliner. But this will probably be one of the biggest events in North Georgia in decades. And the power of this event is it's all being put on by individuals, and we're a very small group. We're growing. The whole purpose of MAGA is we want to be bipartisan, because whether you're a Democrat or Republican, for the most part, everybody wants to make America great again. The line was originally spoken by Ronald Reagan, if that puts it in perspective. And so we want to attract people that care about America, not care about one or a party or whatever. And both my friend Ron and I, who kind of started that, and now we're building our network and our team, our goal is to have a chapter in every 159 counties of Georgia. And Dave has attended the weekly luncheon that we have at the Golden Corral in Gainesville, Georgia, a couple of times. But we have great speakers every Tuesday. Our crowd goes from 30 to 60. This coming Tuesday, we have a lady on the state elections board, which I am just shocked that we were able to get her. She is one of I'll say the only people on that election board that really, I think, calls balls and strikes as a member of the election board should. But all we try to do is educate people and get people involved where they have a voice. So any questions you have of me, David?
Well, let's talk about the speaker yesterday, Charlize Byrd, and she is on the Freedom Caucus, and she's a current elected member to the Georgia House of Representatives. One of the things that she told into the gathering, and I was there, we've video recorded it, by the way, if you want to listen to what she had to say herself, first person, go to the website, ma-ga.org. There was a vote that came up under the Gold Dome, the Georgia Capitol building, about voting in Georgia, requiring you to be a citizen of Georgia. And many of the Republican members of the House were not there for the vote, and so the measure failed just because they didn't show up to vote. Now, I think having secure borders and having only American citizens vote in American elections, I don't think that's a partisan issue. I think that's an American issue. And I have a real problem when our local elected officials or state elected officials don't show up to vote, to make their voice known, and just want to kind of hide in the background and not create waves and thus get reelected to office. I was shocked with that information, that story. You can hear her version of it on the website and watch the video, ma-ga.org. She was quite a fireball, wasn't she?
Yes, what's really, just so you know, my friend Ron and I are on the board of directors of the Georgia Freedom Caucus, and so this first event, one of the people that we plan to support, or not people, one of the groups we plan to support with this fundraiser is the Georgia Freedom Caucus, because no different than the Federal Freedom Caucus that's doing yeoman's work is we want to be able to have candidates run. We raise money so they can challenge the establishment, because the Freedom Caucus puts out a scoring card here in Georgia, and we have Republicans that have a worse voting record than Democrats. And so if people in that district actually knew how their representative was voting, I think they'd be out on their ear in a heartbeat. But everybody claims to be a conservative, but nobody ever watches how they actually vote. And going back to her comment about voting as a citizen requirement, what they did to work around that, they would conveniently walk away from the area where they were supposed to be voting. And I think that what she said is they put an E by their name, and I don't know what the E stands for, but
exempt.
Exempt. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. But I'm just saying, how convenient. And so now knowing that, we're going to monitor that and share that with our people in our ma-ga.org. So all we want to do is educate people so they really know how their representative is voting, and then they own that voting record.
I'm of the opinion that this is a nonpartisan issue. I think some people may disagree with me, but I believe that you should be a U.S. citizen to vote, and I cannot believe that we're even having this conversation. That who'd ever thought that we would have a situation in society today where you could lose your job for saying that somebody was a male or a female, or that men didn't have babies. But that's the situation we are in the United States today. And who thought you would lose your job? I saw a story last night where a young boy got kicked out of school for being patriotic. Did you see that story? I saw that on Fox News early this morning. And it's sad. But
I didn't see that.
yeah, but I really marvel at this young man for standing up saying, and he was probably about 6 years old, I love America, and I just think this is the right thing to do. Remember the old Wilford Brimley Quaker Oats commercial? It's just the right thing to do. And so many things in society today, when you get down to the common denominator, when you get down to doing the right thing, it's the right thing. Lawmakers, if we vote for you to go to office and you give us a platform, you better stick by that platform, because there are organizations like ma-ga.org that are going to be watching what you do. And I know it's tough out there. I know it's tough when you get behind closed doors and the party politics saying, okay, well, this is how it works. And if you want to be part of the machinery and part of the system, and if you want us to help you get elected, you got to toe the line. And so you're in this quandary of, what do I do? Do I do the right thing, or do I do the thing to get reelected? So my wife and I constantly pray, and Macil and I talked about the issue of prayer in society today, and pray for our elected leaders. The Bible says that we need to pray for those in authority above us so that it may go well with us. So now we need to pray more than ever, and we need to hold our elected officials accountable. Who'd ever thought you'd be in a situation where it would be politically unpopular to say that I think you need to be a U.S. citizen to vote, and I think you need to prove it with voter ID. But that's a big hot button issue with a lot of people, and a lot of people who, when I tell them my position, think that I'm a Trump lover and a conservative and whatever other label you want to put on me. No, I just believe that Americans should vote in American elections. And so that's when Charlize was telling me that story, I was shocked and disappointed and a little bit angry that we've gotten to the point in Georgia and in America today when we're just allowing anyone to come across the border. We give them a $5,000 debit card, and hopefully they'll find some place to live somewhere in America. We can't do that. We just can't afford that, and Americans need to vote in American elections. It's a hot button issue for me, and I don't think it should be a partisan issue. I just think it should be a common sense issue. I'm not a resident of Spain, so I don't think I should go to Spain and vote in Spanish elections. I don't think I should go to Brazil and vote in Brazilian elections because I am not a resident of that country. I don't benefit from that country's citizenship. I am a resident of the United States of America. I have a driver's license and a social security card on my wallet that says so. And so I should vote in American elections. So that's just one example of how we need to get involved, and we need to hold our elected officials' feet to the fire and say, you need to really come to the party. Literally, come to the party, come to the booth. When we go to the voting booth and put you in office, you need to go to your voting booth and vote.
We got 5 minutes left. Did you have anything else you wanted to share from Georgia?
Tom, anything closing comments?
Not really, but I'm saying we really believe that even though it's just kind of grassroots at its max, if people want to get together at a cafe or a Golden Corral or whatever once a week and have the value of your time is being educated. So the better your speakers are, the more reason people want to come back and learn. And so I think that model can be shared across the country. Because once you start doing that, then you can start networking and figuring out ways to make a difference.
And we're also going to be using this model, the MA-GA meeting in Gainesville, and we're going to be streaming it and put it on online as an example of, hey, this is what we're doing in Gainesville, and reaching out to other people across America, which is what Street Level America and USA Heartbeat want to do, and say, let's make America great again. It's not a Donald Trump slogan. It should be why we get up in the morning. Tom, thank you for visiting with us today.
Gentlemen, thank you for including me.
Okay,
Goodbye.
God bless. Macil, thank you very much.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
You have heard it said that you need to use your talents to expand the kingdom of God, right? Maybe you have a special talent in music or art or media production, and you'd like to be mentored and you'd like to know how to use that to expand the kingdom of God. Metro Tabernacle Church has a week-long camp, July 21st through the 25th, specially designed for middle and high school church students to grow in their talents and build community. Students will select a specific track for the week, collaborate with peers in their selected area, produce music, art, dance, and participate in a showcase at the end of the week, highlighting those creative skills that they've learned and the hard work they've done. For more information, you can call the church. Call the church at 423-894-3377. That's Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga. 423-894-3377. We are growing better together all the time. Those are the words of Dr. Steve Ball of Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. One of the ways that they grow is with life groups. It's very important for you to get connected in a small group so you can develop relationships and hold each other accountable. Dr. Ball says they believe that Metro Tab is growing larger and smaller at the same time. Life groups are an important part in developing relationships with others who share your interests and are dealing with similar life issues. Why don't you get connected? Check out life groups and the many other offerings at Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They want to be involved in your life. The address is 2101 West Shepherd Road, just off Highway 153 at the airport exit. Have you ever walked by a gravesite and wondered about the person buried there? What is their story? What did they look like? Were they loved? At myforevermemories.com, based in Chattanooga, we want to help keep the memories alive. We thought of something called a memories box. It's a 6x7 by 2 inch transparent container that you put on a gravesite, and in that you can put cards, pictures, handwritten notes, notes to the departed loved one. It's all about keeping the memories alive. So many good people have gone before us, and we need to keep their memories alive. My Forever Memories supports WVMG Radio, Destiny Life Media, and the Macil Duncan Radio Show.
Hello, friends. This is Macil Duncan. I am back. And we'll be having Jolene Carter call in here in just a minute from Virginia to bring us up to date on some of the Virginia news going on there. And also, Maria Wagner will be calling in at 5. And there's some horrific news she's going to bring to our attention regarding children in a particular state that has completely stripped parents of all their rights. But I want to talk just a moment about the Southern Baptist Convention. Being a Southern Baptist pastor in a church, I thought I should give it some attention today. Southern Baptists rejected a ban on women pastors in a very historic vote. In Indianapolis, the Southern Baptist Convention rejected Wednesday a constitutional ban on women pastors. A major victory for those within the nation's largest Protestant denomination seeking to maintain local church autonomy and soften what many considered a growing antagonistic issue about women in ministry. So the arrow that's coming out of this is, where people stand with women in ministry. Now, as I saw some other articles, Southern Baptists reject ban on women pastors, etc. There's a lot of heated discussion on this. You've got some folks that say, "Hey, women should be in ministry," and you have others that say, "Women, that's not their place." If you remember the big debate with Beth Moore, when she came out against the Southern Baptists, she said that they were very hard on women in ministry, and so she came out talking pretty unhappy, I guess would be the words. But is this amendment necessary for the convention? This is one of the people from the floor. To respond when churches in our convention act in a way contrary to our complementary doctrine. North Carolina pastor Spence Shelton said in the only speech against the measure during the brief floor debate, "We showed last year we have an effective mechanism," Shelton said. "It allows us to act with conviction and unity when it all comes to this issue." So there was a lot said, and then it kind of also became contentious with the president vote. Presley was elected the SBC president for the second. It took a runoff. This guy, like it happened a couple of times in the past, but it took a double overtime, if you will, vote in the Southern Baptist Convention on this new president. North Carolina pastor Clint Presley was elected on Wednesday morning, defeating Dan Spencer, pastor of First Baptist Church in Sevierville, I guess here in Tennessee. So in a second runoff in the SBC's annual meeting, Presley, who's the pastor of Hickory Grove Baptist Church in Charlotte, won the second runoff with 4,244 votes. That's basically 56.12%. Spencer got 3,000 and a little above that. So Presley was nominated by Chris Justice, senior pastor at Lee Park Baptist Church in Monroe. So what you're sensing in the Southern Baptist Convention is some tension. They're debating over women in ministry. They could not agree, at least at first, on who would be the next president to lead them into this year. Now, what Southern Baptists do in governing is every church in the Southern Baptist Convention is allowed 10 people. Every church, if you run 10,000 or 4, I should say, or 10, you're allowed 10 delegates. So every church is equally represented. Now, not all churches send 10 delegates. Some only send their pastor and maybe his wife and a staff member or 2 or 3. But if every church wanted to, they could send 10 delegates. And, of course, they register, and, of course, they vote. So what's happening in the Southern Baptist Convention is the turnout is not been very, very well. They used to have to use venues. They've gone back to using churches because it was cheaper, and the convention turnout has been smaller. So I think this is a reflection of our society today. The reason I brought it up, because the Methodists just went through a split, as you know. There's other denominations going through a split, and recent surveys have said 64% of Christian Americans are not in favor of a particular denomination at this time. So if 64% of Christian Americans are not in favor of denomination, I think what you're going to find as denominational leaders, it will be harder to get folks involved and folks that want to insert themselves. The other thing we're finding out, for instance, in the Southern Baptist Convention, most of the mega churches have backed off. Back in the day, it was always the Charles Stanleys, the Adrian Rogers, the pastors of the big churches that were kind of assumed to be presidents, and they lined them up usually a couple of years in advance so they could have their staff. I remember when Dr. Johnny Hunt sat with me and explained, Mason, you need to understand, when someone takes on the role of the Southern Baptist president, they have to commit to a year of travel, meetings, and etc. You can't just show up and get voted, then go back and tell your church. Your church needs to be prepared financially, and with understanding you'll miss some of the calendar events and stuff at your church. So that's why a lot of larger churches would thus run, and they would have agreements, maybe who is the next president. Some saw that as fixing the elections, if you will. But regardless, what you're finding out now, as these smaller tiered churches are now running, these pastors do have staffs, but they don't have the financing. The messaging isn't quite as clear. And I think you're going to see as the future rolls on that some of these pastors are going to have a very tough time in the future getting delegates. Because if every church can send 10, Southern Baptist Church, and the turnout is what it kind of is. Now, with that vote, let's just take that vote, 4,000 plus for one and 3,000, that's 7. So let's say generously there was 10,000 there. There was a time when the Southern Baptist Convention ran 50 to 60,000. So if they're down to about 10,000 people, messengers, if you will, that just shows, again, that there's either a disinterest, a decline, dissatisfaction, or what have it. But if you are in a Southern Baptist church, the one thing they pride themselves on is local autonomy. Each church governs themselves. You call your own pastor, you have your own bylaws, but they have a thing called the Baptist Faith and Message, which is kind of like the Constitution of the United States. It's what all Baptists that participate in the convention agree to. So that's just, I thought I'd touch on that because I've had some questions. I don't know personally if this is going to have any blowback in the days ahead, because some churches tend to overreact and say, I'm just going to pull out of the convention if they're not going to make a strong stand on an issue I am very dear about. But the proposed amendment reflected the SBC statement of faith and would have made it easier to enforce the church doctrine and remove individual churches from the denomination when they have women pastors in leadership posts. One person posted here in the one of the papers here I pulled up at the U.S. News, excuse me. So anyway, you can take it for what it is, but Southern Baptists at the moment are in the news for good or bad, and the UPI, the AL, Reuters, all of them are the Associated Press. I'm just going USA Today, Forbes, New York Times, Yahoo News, Washington Post, Yahoo, the Omaha World Religion, Independent. You just go down. There are a lot going on. Now, one thing the Arkansas brought up, there were 3 candidates for president. I was not aware of that. That must have been what brought the extra vote. There wasn't just 2. There were 3 candidates for the Southern Baptist Convention. Southern Baptist voting at their annual meeting. So let's just see real quick. On the first ballot, Clint Presley from Hickory Grove in Charlotte, North Carolina, he got 25%. Then David Allen, professor at Mid-America Baptist Theological Seminary. That's where I went to school. I didn't know David was running. And then Spencer, Dan Spencer from First Baptist Sevierville, he got 17. So evidently, David Allen must have pulled out, even though he came in second in that first round. So anyway, that's what's going on. The Southern Baptist Convention going through a little bit of a challenge right now, but hey, it all is good. It can be prayed for, it can be redeemed, and doesn't have to be a black mark or a blemish. At least I don't think so. Sometimes Christians, like I said, we can be a little bit on the frustration side, and we allow ourselves to get out of kilter, but that's okay. Well, there's other things happening in the news, and I thought I'd bring some of that to your attention. Right here, Representative Luna predicts President Biden will pardon Hunter after the election. See what you think.
Hunter Biden was found guilty of 3 gun charges in a Delaware courtroom Tuesday. 100 miles south in Washington, D.C., Republicans in Congress continue to say there is a 2-tiered system of justice and that the Bidens should face even more criminal charges.
Listen, the Biden crime family, why is it called the Biden crime family? There is so much that we have looked at that they should be obviously charged with. But when you have a corrupt DOJ, you got an FBI director that's nothing but garbage. The whole administration is trouble.
After the verdict, President Biden released a statement that said, "I will accept the outcome of this case and will continue to respect the judicial process as Hunter considers an appeal." President Biden said in a recent interview that he would not pardon his son, but Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna does not think he'll stand by that.
On Election Day, when those polls close, I think that you're going to see that Biden will eventually pardon his son.
Luna said the DOJ should take action against Hunter Biden for his foreign business dealings while his father was vice president and accused him of lying to Congress about it. Congressman Jamie Raskin criticized Republicans for attacking the justice system.
Hunter Biden was just convicted of every single count that was brought against him by the U.S. Department of Justice. I've not heard a single Democrat anywhere in the country cry fraud, cry fixed, cry rigged, cry kangaroo court, or any of the many epithets that our colleagues have mobilized against the U.S. Department of Justice and our federal court system.
While progress in the Republicans' impeachment inquiry into President Biden has stalled, they are moving to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress for not handing over the audio recordings of President Biden's interview with Special Counsel Robert Hur. We'll keep you informed about that upcoming vote on the Straight Arrow News app.
Well, I don't know what you think about Miss Luna's prediction, but I think a lot of folks are kind of spot on with her that there's possibly
Charges
going
in
to
a Delaware court.
Going to be some kind of I just don't see Hunter Biden going to prison. You guys may think he will, but I don't think so. And I could be wrong, but I do believe I've got a song here. This is in honor of Joe Biden to Hunter.
And as I hung up the phone, it occurred to me he'd grown up just like me. My boy was just like me. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you're coming home, son, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, Dad. We're gonna have a good time there.
Cats in the Cradle song, because your boy is just like you, Joe, and you raised him to be just like you, and I don't think there's any denying that. People talk about family resemblance and how they look. I think there's a family resemblance in how he acts. And you know, when someone's been raised to be a thief, raised to be an abuser, if you will. That's the thing they don't want to tell you, and that's why they're going after the kids. I believe because children, I'll never forget reading, and this may offend somebody, but Greg Louganis gave his testimony of why he became a homosexual. It was because a neighbor next door molested him as a boy. Okay, and he said he ended up thinking that was his lifestyle. Now he was a great Olympic. Please try to fact check that. I've got a cousin the same way. He was molested by the high school choir leader, and it turned him into a gay man. He battled it for years. The reason I tell you that is when you sexually oppress children when they're young, they battle it, and sometimes they tend to live out that abduction. That's why they're going after the kids, my friends. Make no mistake. They want your children for life in these lifestyles. Because one, it controls population, because they want population control. Homosexuals and transgenders cannot procreate. The second thing they want is they want to control your kids and demasculate them so they will not be able to defend this country. And the third thing I think they want is they want to make everything anti-biblical as possible. That's just my opinion. You can take that for what it's worth and see what you think. But I believe that's going to be the thing that we'll see in the future, because this is going to be decades of what they're pushing on the kids now. You're going to live with decades of it, and it's going to be sad. Biden's net approval rating drops worst, before the 2024 Trump rematch. President Joe Biden's average net approval rating hit a new low this week, 5 months before the 2024 election. Now, this is the Washington Examiner, reporting this. Biden's average approval equaled an administrative low, 37.4%. He actually went down from what I reported 2 days ago. This is the lowest, I believe, of any president. He's making Jimmy Carter look like a rock star, So Biden's average approval is down to 37.4 last weekend, and that's with them doing their magic. You know it's worse than that. I think Biden's in the 20s. I would say he's at 24% approval rating. The reason I say that, I bet 1 out of 4 Americans only support this guy. Because I'll bet you, because there was a recent poll, 84% of Americans, that included Democrats, Republicans, Scooby-Doo, independents, everybody. 84% of voting Americans polled last week said they do not want a Biden second term. That's over 75%. So I'm just telling you, I think they jack it up to not make him look as bad as he is. That's just me. But according to 538, this disapproval reached a new peak. His disapproval reached a peak of 56.8 on Wednesday. That's nearly 60% according to a liberal poll that they're dissatisfied with him. Now, again, there's other polls that say it's worse. But I thought I would use a liberal poll so you guys would not think I'm too tainted in my speaking of the president. But Biden just hit a new time low, and the 5035 founder Nate Silver posted on social media Monday, dropping out would be a big risk, but there's some threshold below which continuing to run is even a bigger risk. Are we there yet? It's something to think about. How bad is it for the Democrats? You've got to ask yourself, would they be better off if Joe just stepped aside and let Kamala give it a rest? I'll tell you something, not that the Democrats want to listen to me, but I'll tell you something that would put fire in the belly of the Democrats is if Joe Biden resigned. I know it's just 5 months. Let Kamala Harris be the first female president. And with that, there would be a feminist shift, just like there was for Hillary. They didn't care what she stood on. They wanted to break the glass ceiling. They would be so jacked up that there's a lady in office. They would want to defend that. It would probably increase the female turnout, and her being a lady of color, it might increase the ethnic turnout that at the current time doesn't like Joe. I'm just saying, I think Kamala has a bigger upside than leaving Joe in the race, but please leave Joe in the race. I don't want to see the Democrats win, but I can't believe they've not thought of that. I think actually they should have done it about a year ago. If they'd made Kamala the president a good year ago, and let him, because his Joe Biden's decline is very obvious. If they had done that a year ago and let her have a year under her belt, let her maybe go in and do something about the border. Let her do something and get her some creds. Doing it right now is a big risk, I know, but I think it's a bigger upside than having the incredible Joe Biden, if you will. That's just me. I could be wrong. But anyway, just keeping that in mind. Let's see. Did you know this? There were 8 ISIS-tied migrants, and this should wake us up, that were arrested. They crossed our border illegally. These are 8 migrants. And Senator Steve Daines warned us about the threat of Central Asia in February. The senator who warned in February about the potential for terrorists to slip into this country across the southern border is continuing to sound the alarm, telling Fox News Digital he hopes the arrest of 8 suspects with ties to ISIS serve as a wake-up call to President Biden. And this to me is atrocious. You know, the FBI director, Christopher Wray, has given us 6 warnings that we could have conflict on American soil due to the border openings, and many believe to be people of nefarious agendas coming across the border. But you got our politicians up there knowing this, doing very little. It's very discouraging and very frustrating. So I think it's something for you to keep in mind. There's a lot of people reporting on that. Keep yourself mindful of that and be safe. Now, pro-life Buckner backlash signals big trouble for Biden. The Blaze Media is reporting with the election on the line, an odious mishmash of leftists want the help of men they were all too glad to excoriate for years. The Democrats have made it abundantly clear that their top election issue in 2024 is abortion. Okay? But they need help. And according to Doug Emhoff, husband of Vice President Kamala Harris, who in a recent interview said that more men need to support the right to terminate pregnancy as an issue of fairness to women, it's affecting men's ability to plan their lives. Are you serious? What happened to my body, my choice, and the women saying men have no choice? This is a double message, a double standard the liberals are trying to pull out now. All of a sudden, they're wanting men to jump on this issue and say that it's bothering their lives. If you don't abort babies, it's messing up the lives of the men. That does not match the feminist motto. That does not. So anyway, Pew Research Center identified that men are more likely, 57%, to want to be parents than young women at 45%. And so that's a fact that because they've messed with the women's mindset for so long through the education system and so many ways through Hollywood, through media, a lot of young ladies don't see babies as human life forms. They see them as just tissues inside their belly, like it's something to be discarded, like human waste. It's very sad, very sad. But I saw that, and I thought I'd bring that to your attention. You can go to the Blaze Media and see the rest of that article. Daily Wire reports GOP lawmakers introduce a bill to wipe out DEI across the federal bureaucracy. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this. Republicans in Congress unveiled a bill on Wednesday. It's geared towards getting rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's programs across the federal bureaucracy that have embraced by Biden administration. The 48-page bill seeks to ensure equal protection of the law to prevent racism in the federal government. It targets not only federal offices and personnel, but also training, contractors, grants, adversary committees, education, etc., etc., etc. So what this is, it's a 48-page bill, and it seeks to ensure equal protection of the law, okay? And it's going to prevent racism. I hope this passes. J.D. Vance is, to me, a very big conservative voice we have. He's from Ohio, Republican. And he's also a contender to be Donald Trump's VP. He's probably in the top 5 or top 4 when you think of people. But anyway, this is interesting that he would bring this up. I think this is for him to get creds with the conservative base and to kind of set the standard for what, if he was VP, what we'd be looking at. A very strong candidate that would be against DEI. Because let's be honest, my friends, when Donald Trump wins in 2024, he's got 2 years. I've said this before. His first 2 years, because in a red wave, I believe he'll take the House and the Senate. But midterms, they will take back the House or Senate one from him. It just happens. Happened to Bush. It happened to Obama. It happened to Clinton. And when they take back the House or Senate from him, he'll almost be a lame duck having only 2 years left. But his vice president, if they play things right, could go on to be hopefully an extension of Trump and MAGA. That's the goal. So the vice presidential pick is very crucial, because if they're not careful, what could happen to this vice president is what happened to Dan Quayle. If you remember, Dan Quayle was the first Bush's vice president, very conservative, very intelligent, very articulate. But they set him up. He was in a classroom, and they were holding up flashcards. I don't know if you remember this. And he misspelled potato because it was misspelled on the cue card behind him. But he went ahead because, and he even said in his book, and I've got it here on my shelf, I've read it twice, I should have known with all the cameras there I was being set up. He goes, I'm the vice president, not the president. And it was like a major media, and sure enough it was. All they did, you can go research it, Dan Quayle can't spell potato. He is not educated or qualified, and they ran with it, and they pretty much destroyed his reputation. Dan Quayle would have made a great president. But he was a true conservative, serving with a deceptive leader, the former CIA director, Bush, who brought in the New World Order, if you remember, on all of his speeches. So I believe he was set up from within. Donald Trump doesn't need a Dan Quayle moment per se. Whoever his VP is, they've got to protect him, understand the media will be out to get him or her. And it's got to be someone sound and someone that can carry on the next in 2028, and I hope that happens. Well, in the Daily Wire exclusive, Air Force celebrates Pride Month with CEO of organization advocating for child gender transitions. I kid you not. The Department of Air Force hosted a 2-day Pride Month celebration that featured the CEO of an organization that advocates for children to undergo irreversible medical sex change procedures and pushes sexually explicit LGBT books onto children. Okay? This is the Department of Air Force. Some of you say trust the military. Hello? Is this what you trusted them for? The Department of Air Force hosted a 2-day Pride Month celebration featuring the CEO of an organization that advocates for children undergoing Assange chop surgeries. A promotional Air Force poster advertising the DAF Pride celebration had Dylan Mulvaney. Remember the Budweiser failure? That they brought Dylan Mulvaney out, and here he is, or she is, involved in this Air Force Pride Parade event. What is going on in our military? It is, I just can't see how in the world the military embraces this. I just don't. Maybe it's just, I don't know. I can't understand it. Well, a 7th grader and his sister were expelled from school following a principal's controversial decision to limit free speech over the use of the word patriotism. I kid you not. Their crime was using the word patriotism. Can you believe this? Now, a California 7th grade student, Jimmy Hayward, who recently went viral after reading his principal's censorship, his patriotic speech, and now has been banned from attending the school next year because he used the word patriotism in America. I should say California. I don't know if that's America anymore. This is reported that last month Hayward, he was a student at St. Bonaventure Catholic School. This is a Catholic school, my word, where Principal Mary Flock, what a name, reportedly told him to edit his campaign speech for the role of Commissioner of School Spirit and Patriotism, instructing him to remove all parts about patriotism. The incident was first started by Lipo TikTok, who wrote, "This is Jimmy, a middle schooler in California. His principal allegedly made him change his speech and remove all mention of patriotism. When he refused, she reportedly didn't allow him to give the speech, and he was forced to sit there humiliated and watch the other contenders give their speech. Okay, so he gave it online anyway. So because he dared give his speech and exercise his freedom of speech, the principal, Mary Flock, said he can't come back to school next year. This is outrageous. Outrageous. Disabled woman facing eviction for sharing Christian message. Another story that's going to upset if you're a patriot and love this country. But a disabled woman living in a senior center now is facing eviction as the housing unit operator retaliates against her for her decision to share gospel tracts with others in the facility in a common area where information about opportunities and events routinely are available. It's an area in the nursing home where you can leave your literature, invites to certain things, community events. It's the American Center for Law and Justice that confirmed it is taking action, specifically sending a demand letter to protect the elderly Christian woman's rights. The woman had been forbidden from placing Bible tracts on a community table because building manager insisted they wanted to be inclusive. Well, if you're going to be inclusive, you got to include. That's the root word of inclusive, is including. The landlord, Lindy Property Management Company in Philadelphia, now is egregiously retaliating against our client for exercising her rights. The legal team said it sought from the management company assurances that her religious liberty rights to be protected and she be allowed to exercise the privileges that every member of the housing complex has and not be singled out for her religious faith. So they're taking it to court. The management says we're not going to bend on this, and we're going to see you in court. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? That just doesn't completely shockaroo me, but it is very disturbing. So you got an elderly woman that they're trying to evict for sharing the gospel, and you have two kids that were expelled from school in California for using the word patriotism. And don't forget, the kid was told he couldn't speak, so he didn't speak at the school. He did it online that's private time. He didn't do it at the school. She forbid him, so he sat there humiliated in front of his peers and didn't do it in front of everybody else. So that's where you've got to ask yourself, is Mary Flock guilty of infringing on his rights? I think she is. Well, this report hits home to me. I just prayed with one of my friends who lives a couple of states over. He just lost his job. There's a man in my church that just lost his job. And I've got another friend that lost their job here recently. Cutbacks are happening. And I prayed with another gentleman who's afraid of losing his job.
In the last year, American corporation John Deere has laid off nearly 1,000 workers, with 650 job cuts announced last week. And the tractor company plans to send more work to Mexico. John Deere's profits dropped more than $6 billion from this time last year, with economists pointing to slower sales of new farm equipment because of higher interest rates. It's a snapshot of what's happening in the wider job market. The Bureau of Labor Stats posted May's job report last Friday, showing the unemployment rate inched up just 0.1% from 3.9%, but now sits at 4%. Its highest level since the start of 2022, 6.6 million unemployed people. However, 276,000 jobs were added in May, much higher than the 185,000 jobs analysts had predicted. And according to economists, the May jobs report makes it unlikely the Fed will reduce interest rates, as inflation remains at 3.6%, well above the preferred 2% target rate.
So a lot of people are either losing their jobs, taking pay cuts, even Blue Bloods, my favorite show on TV, they all had to agree to a 25% pay cut to bring on season 14. Did you know that? And they had to let go of a couple of beloved characters to cut the budget. So it's happening around us. Some of us are affected more than others, but ownership is, economic ownership is declining as well. Check this out.
It's hard enough to buy a home since 2020 with prices up 38% and the interest rate on that mortgage 5 percentage points higher. But those two sticker shocks are just the start. A new report by Bankrate says the hidden costs of home ownership are up 26% since 2020.
Homeowners' costs are up 26%. Is it any wonder these young people that make between $80,000 and $90,000 say they don't qualify for home loans today? That's people with good credit. It's very concerning. This is the Macil Duncan Show. I'll be back after the break. Jolene Carter from Virginia will be calling in. And don't forget my book, Move Your Mountains. I'll be back after the break.
This includes property taxes, homeowners insurance, and home maintenance costs, including utility bills. Bankrate says the tab for a typical single-family home runs more than $18,000 a year. That's $1,500 a month on top of your mortgage payment. In 2020, the same expenses ran around $1,200 a month, a 26% increase in 4 years. These hidden costs affect all homeowners, from the ones paying a premium to get into the market today to those who got steals years ago. And 3 states in particular are seeing the biggest jumps. The hidden cost of homeownership in Utah is up 44% in 4 years, followed by Idaho at 39% and Hawaii at 38%. Utah and Idaho in particular saw huge leaps in home prices since the pandemic, which naturally increases the cost of taxes and insurance. Hawaii also tops the list for most expensive hidden costs overall at $29,000, while California, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and Connecticut round out the top 5. If you're looking for the states with the least expensive hidden costs per year, look no further than Kentucky, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, and Indiana. But even in less expensive states, the costs are still climbing. The smallest increase in hidden costs is 14% for Alaska and Texas, according to Bankrate.
So we definitely have an economic issue, and a lot of it reflects back to Joe Biden. And as you know, his son was recently convicted, and I just want to share a song we dedicated to Joe today, Cats in the Cradle.
And as I hung up the phone, it occurred to me he'd grown up just like me. My boy was just like me. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, little Lord Blue.
So I don't know what you think about Joe Biden and all that's going on, but I believe a lot of us are starting to understand that this is possibly one of many things coming. I've got Jolene Carter from Virginia on the line. Jolene, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I can't believe what's all going on in Virginia. A couple of things that come to mind, but one is that the recent poll has Trump and Biden tied. Do you see that, or do you think Trump's slipped ahead by now?
Well, I saw that, they were tied, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Trump is pulled ahead. I mean, I just see a lot of people really, really frustrated and fed up and just, they're just not going to vote for Biden. They're just not. So,
well, I think the thing that's going to hurt Biden is what Youngston's trying to get, that trigger law. And I was going to see if you could enlighten us. If I'm not mistaken, when California officially passed their law to outlaw combustion engines from 2030, is it? It triggered into Virginia and 13 other states. So there's 15 states now that have some form of this law, and Youngston's trying to repeal it. Is that correct?
That's right. Right. He effective at the end of this year, then we're no longer connected with that. So any of the California's regulations or whatever that would affect us will no longer apply. So that's really good. I don't know if a lot of people even realize that, but, thankfully our governor, is doing a good job looking out for, I think he's doing a good job looking out for Virginians and other things too. He just signed an executive order about cleaning up the voter rolls, and so it was a pretty big deal.
I bet the Democrats screamed on that one.
Well, yes, because he opted out of these ERIC system that was funded by Soros. So now he is. This is going to require all state agencies to ensure that the rolls are constantly updated and accurate, and also put special attention on dead voters. Lots of different things with this executive order, but basically making sure all the databases have the same information so that everything equals out. You don't have one agency saying, well, we have this many voters or this many voters. So this is something that hasn't been done since like 1960. So, this is a big deal because this kind of thing is what steals elections. If you don't have cleaned up voter rolls and no way to check who voted, who didn't, or who's dead that voted.
Do you remember back when hanging chads back in 2000, the Bush and Gore? Yeah. As I think we look back now, we see that was over dramatized on purpose because those voting machines weren't hackable by the internet.
Right.
That big supposed debacle was the reason they brought in the Smartmatic, the ERIC system, and all these others. And they, of course, George Soros, if I'm not mistaken, 18 or 20 states, his organization funds our voting machines. Why in the world?
I know.
But you know what it is? These guys are getting kickbacks, either the governors or the senators, what have you. And I think we, the people, are fed up with this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, every day you see, one of these states that Trump definitely won, but, just mysteriously lost in the, at 3 a.m., finding out there's, all these missing, ballots or, everything that confirms that this election was stolen, after the fact. I don't know why they could not have done, some sort of investigation of that. I mean, to question that is patriotic. You know what I'm saying? But they make you out to be, a terrorist if you question it.
Well, that's the thing I don't understand is why don't they? I know what it is because both sides cheat. The GOP were the sweet princesses that we all would think they were. They would have already cleaned this up. They cheat too. I think both sides. That's why they want us to early vote. Because when you early vote, it's just my opinion. They see, they've got so many. We better cheat by this much. I'm a big fan of showing up on election day in huge numbers and blowing their algorithms out the water.
Right. That's the way it should be. It should be a day off, automatic day off. People go and vote that day, and that's it.
Do you and Mike do that? Do y'all vote on voting day, or do y'all early vote?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's something that we like to do in person.
See, Mike can go wear his LSU stuff. He can promote who he's voting for, pull for his LSU people, and have a lot of fun. There's so many things to do with your neighbors when you're in line.
Well, yeah, and you meet people, and even during COVID, they changed the location of where we voted, but we still went. And we had to wait in a long line wearing masks, but we still did it.
Oh, heck to the yeah. Now, we were in line at one of the elections. I think it was, it may have been 2020, because we all thought Trump was going to win in the landslide. We're in line, and it's back, our firehouse, all the way back to the tennis courts, the community tennis courts, and community track. I mean, it was way back. Well, we're in line, and Judy, my wife, and I were talking to people, and this lady behind us, and this is a true story, I said, well, good to meet you. She goes, I'm here mainly to cancel out my husband's vote. I said, what?
Oh.
She goes, my husband's a liberal. He voted early.
Oh.
She goes, I'm here, even though I know this is way off. She goes, I know Trump will win, but I want to cancel out his vote for Biden. So anyway,
Wow.
she teasingly talked about how they don't agree politically, but they get along. Well, we were
Yeah,
getting
that would be hard. It would be really hard to have a spouse.
We were getting a brand new freezer, commercial freezer at the food pantry. And you know how they don't really tell you when it's coming? It's kind of like the cable man.
Yeah.
We're coming out of voting, and I get the call. Hey, Pastor, the delivery guy's here, and he says he's got to leave, and we've got this big, huge commercial freezer. Do you have anybody can help load it into the thing? And I had him on speaker. Well, that young lady says, I'll help you.
Oh.
I never met her before in my life, and another
How
person.
nice.
So here I'm in line. Two of my neighbors I've never went down to the food pantry a block away, helped me unpack and load a brand new freezer that was donated to our food pantry.
Wow.
And I met them in line voting.
Yeah, what a cool story. I love that.
And that's the thing people miss, because
Yeah.
And I've even thought maybe fun is going say like if you and Mike lived closer, if Judy and I went to vote with you and Mike. Stood in line, caught up, been saying, go get something to eat. Make it fun.
Make it right. You can make it a fun day. I mean, I enjoy it. I like going in person and talking to people, talking to the poll workers. If they're standing around, I think it's a very patriotic American thing to do.
Well, I've got 2 church members. They work the polls. Actually, 3 now. We just had a new member, Miss Ann. So I've got 3 members that work the polls. They work every poll. I'm talking even the little insignificant votes that have a low turnout. These ladies are committed. So I take them donuts.
Oh, that's nice.
And I always take them a little breakfast. And one time, it was one of those small little elections with, you know what I mean? It was one of those off elections.
Yeah.
And I showed up, and one of them asked me, hey, Pastor, where's our donuts? I said, I just busted. I thought it was such a small little vote. You wouldn't be here long. I said, but I'll be right back.
Oh, that's sweet.
And I went and got them something and brought it back. Hey,
it's the little things that really matter to people. You don't realize how much it matters, but it does. You just never know.
Well, catch us up. What else is happening in Virginia? Because you guys seem to have several political issues.
Well, there's an electric vehicle thing, which we talked about, and, being pretty much, tied now with Biden and Trump. So that makes 10 swing states now. So, and then, the voter roll thing, the executive order. So those are basically the main things. But I'm not seeing anything. No, I don't see any Biden signs. I don't see anybody wearing Biden hats or shirts.
No Build Back Better mantra?
Nothing. And, several of my neighbors have, the Trump flag in them. They'll have, one of my neighbors has the FJB flag hanging in their yard.
Now again, if they're just now, you live in Virginia, which is traditionally a blue state. And you're telling us you don't see any Biden or Harris signs in Virginia where you live?
No, I don't see any of it. And I meet a lot of people through my business, and I try to talk to them or try to feel them out just to kind of see where they are. And I'd say 100% of them are conservatives, pro-Trump, are just fed up with what's going on. And, friends that, middle class friends that are really, really struggling. I heard from a friend the other day, really struggling, whereas before, things were not that bad for them. But, and I'm hearing stories like that.
Well, the thing I don't understand, and it just see what you agree with me. I went down to the beach. We went to Holden Beach, and I meet my family. I take back roads and ride my Harley, and I put in my GPS no interstates, no toll roads. So it takes you only. I'm in hardworking America driving down, I did
Right.
not see one electric charging station because I looked for them, and I saw new gas stations.
Yeah.
And then I drove by and saw some new Buc-ee's, those big humongo
Oh,
gas
yeah.
stations.
We're supposed to get one of those. Yeah.
Are you seeing anybody? I mean, if I thought Biden was going to win, wouldn't you see some? Why would I see all these gas stations? I promise you, I saw 12, at least,
Wow.
brand new gas
Well, that's
stations,
interesting.
either being opened or about to open. And down at the beach at Holden Beach, a brand new Exxon. They hadn't opened it yet, but I looked. There was no electrical charging stations. It was all going to be petroleum. My point is, if this green energy was going to be what they're saying, how come we're not seeing a lot of charging stations being built?
Right. Well, did you see that interview, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago with Pete Buttigieg? And he said that they were asking about how many of these charging stations have been built. They've invested a whole lot of money in this. And it was like 7. And even the interviewer, who was, liberal media, was like, 7? So I don't know what they're doing with our money, but they're definitely not investing it in well, we all know what's going on, but that is very interesting about the gas stations. You're seeing more and more of that. So that would indicate, we're not going to be going an electric way.
Well, it's been a new 7-Eleven as you go across the Chickamauga Dam here in Chattanooga into Hickson. Right there on your right is a big multi-pumped 7-Eleven. It just opened a few months ago. Okay, my point is, I think Drill Baby Drill's about to happen. And I think somehow they kind of know that.
Yeah.
Because I looked, I said, is there any electrical charges? Judy and I looked. We don't see any in these new gas stations. So I'm curious why they push it. And it's not practical. Because when I drove my motorcycle through mid-America, through the blue-collar people, there's no way those folks, because they have to sometimes drive 20, 30 minutes to a Walmart or a grocery store.
Right.
I mean, I'll go through I'm talking the little bitty towns, and I'm thinking, how in the world could they afford an electric car to start with, and then have to drive maybe 45 minutes to a Walmart one way?
There's just no way. And then, I don't know if it was you that I was listening to that said that you have to replace the battery, and the battery is like $20,000.
They range between $15,000 and $32,000.
Yeah. So who can afford that? And this thing with the California, I mean, it was before. I mean, they're mandating, electric cars. It's not like 2040, or it's like within the next few years.
And that's why I don't understand. Something's about to happen in California now. There was an agenda called Agenda 2020 back when Obama was president, because I think they thought Hillary was going to win and take us into whatever. When Trump won in 2016, they renamed it 2030 Agenda.
Right.
The reason I say that is the trigger laws for these, what you're living through from California, I bet you they had to go back and redo that trigger law. I think it was supposed to happen sooner, because remember the first thing that Obama did was he did the cash for clunkers.
Yes, I do remember that.
And they almost did away with the used car market early in his first term. Because I had some friends in the used car market, they said about killed them. Well, then COVID comes along, and people aren't buying cars or anything. So the used car market, I've got a good friend up on University Parkway where I've bought 4 cars from him now. University Motors, Kevin Bloom, great guy, honest Christian guy, seriously. You don't hear people say honest and used car salesman in the same sentence. Kevin Bloom is an honest used car salesman on University Motors right there on Lee Highway. I'm giving out some love because he sponsored my radio show back in the day. But he'll even tell you, he used to have like 100+ cars on his lot. He doesn't even have hardly 50.
Really?
He has a lot of online stock and cars he's got and holding at auctions and stuff. He said if he can't, it's just not financially feasible to stock a lot like it used to be. They're not turning like they used to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean, yeah, used cars, the price of used cars has really gone up crazy. I mean, and then new cars, of course. I don't know how anybody affords a new car, but, even the used cars are crazy. If you go on the marketplace and you look, you're like, what? Like 300,000 miles on it, and they want, it's crazy.
well, and even repairs. Judy had a wreck, and it took forever to get parts. They said ever since COVID, getting parts. I went to get my motorcycle. I went to put a starter, and the guy, Dr. Dave, he does Harley repairs here in Apis, and Dr. Dave's a great guy, and I'll mention again Dr. Dave. But anyway, he'll fix your motorcycle at a reasonable price. But I went in to get my motorcycle, pick it up, and he said, Pastor, I hate to tell you this. I gave you the best break I could, but it's $464.
Oh, wow.
I said, Shabam, what? Because he only takes cash or check. And so I had $400 on me, so I paid him $400 cash, and I had to write him a $64 check, I think.
Oh,
and I said, I was thinking $200, $250, and he said prior to COVID, that starter would have cost you about $64 to $80, and my labor. He goes, but since COVID, that starter has more than tripled in price.
Yep.
And of course, there's labor. And he's a fair guy. He would never rip me off, I have no doubt. Dr. Dave in Apis, and if you have a motorcycle, well, he won't work on anything but Harleys. If you have a non-American motorcycle, he won't work on it. Yeah, he's real loyal to Harleys, Indian, and Victory bikes. But let me ask you this:
we had to replace some stuff in January. We had one thing after another go out, and. Same thing, like a hot water heater, before COVID would have been, I don't know how much, but it had tripled in price, so we were really like, what? So, yeah, things happen, I mean, it's just the way it is. We had several different things happen, and, and if you have that back to back to back, then, you really are struggling. I mean, it's hard to even put money back for savings because you're constantly having to pay for this or that. Things are double or triple the price.
Well, have you noticed fast food's up 12%?
Oh, yeah.
And
I mean, yeah,
it said the
crazy.
Taco Bell's prices almost up 300%. You used to could go get some cheap food at the Taco Bell. We used to nickname it Taco Smell because, the results afterwards. But now
we have one right around the corner, and like they have this some kind of deal. If we do go through there, we'll get this deals package because it's a lot cheaper. But if you go through there, just order, whatever. I mean, for two people, it's almost $30, and this is a Taco Bell.
Judy and I were traveling. We stopped at a Wendy's and got the basic bacon cheeseburger, fry, Coke, and we got 2 small Frosties. And she said, how much was it? I said, $28. She said, are you kidding me?
Isn't that crazy?
I said, 28 something, and she said, oh my gosh.
I know. When we haven't eaten out at a restaurant in forever because, at a fast food, if it's $30, then can you imagine what it would be at like an Olive Garden or something?
What if you go to Chili's? Here I'm giving you can tell I am a connoisseur of food. Chili's lunch menu,
Chili's,
they have a $10.99. You can get a cheeseburger, fry, and a drink for $10.99. And it's a big burger.
Yeah, that's right. It's like a three for something, that's a really good deal.
Chili's is a great deal for lunch. I highly recommend Chili's because a lady down at Chili's, she's a Christian lady from another country. And me and another pastor were hearing her story because I asked her, I said, well, you're from another country. She has an accent. What's it like, in your opinion, about the open border? And she teared up. She goes, I sympathize with these people. She goes, I know what it's like to come from a country that's not, as nice as America. She goes, but they need to come the right way. She goes, I came the right way legally. And she goes, but some
my
people.
My daughter-in-law did. I mean, she's still in that process, and they've spent, thousands of dollars, almost $10,000 to do everything the right way. And so it's such a slap in the face to them.
Have you seen the movie Here Comes the Boom?
No, I haven't.
It's Kevin James plays in it. It's a comedy. But he, on the side, he's a teacher. and he becomes a wrestler to raise money for the school because it's in Hawk. Well, he does another side job. He teaches Christian citizenship class.
Oh.
And it will bless you because it has American flags all through it, and at the very end, it shows him swearing in or watching the swearing in of all these folks that went through his class becoming American citizens.
Yeah.
And it fades out with an American flag, and I'm going, oh my gosh, this is a modern American movie?
Yeah.
No,
It
no,
used
no
to be
woke,
that
no,
way.
no
Yeah.
woke in it at all. And
Yeah.
Henry Winkler plays in it, the old Fonz.
Yeah.
Of course, he's not the Fonz. He plays the music teacher. But
Yeah.
I'm telling you, here comes the boom. If you want to watch it, because it tells a little bit about the American citizenship process. I say that to say my friend Ankus, who is in New Jersey, he called in Monday, and he listens to the show in New Jersey. He has got a green card. He's been trying to be an American citizen, I think he said 6 years or more. But he's going through the right way, taking the classes.
It takes a long time.
And he's a big Trump fan. He's a capitalist, but he's from India.
Yeah. I remember you talking about him the other day.
Okay.
It reminded me of my daughter-in-law because, same sort of thing. She's, she has her green card and she's able to work. But in order to become a citizen, it takes years.
I thought if you married an American, doesn't that make her automatic citizen?
No, she can stay here and get a green card, but she has to, to become a citizen. You have to go through attorneys and all, and wait years and years to become an American citizen.
That's one thing, and I said this on my show yesterday, so I bet you would agree. The Republicans need another contract with America. That gave them a message, some planning and everything. One thing I wish they would do, a contract with America, is legalizing the folks that are doing it the right way. Go ahead and make them citizens.
Right.
And then it will make it easier to identify maybe illegals or the nefarious people that cross the border. There's folks that come across that need asylum. They are in peril and dangerous situations. Let's be kind to them. But if they would go ahead and legalize Ankus, your daughter-in-law, people like that, especially if they're married into a good Christian, a good American family.
I know. They make it so hard, they really do. You have to have an attorney to just do all this stuff. And I used to work with that kind of stuff. And the amount of paperwork and just all this stuff that you have to present to the government is unbelievable.
Well, what you
it was
said,
just stacks and stacks of stuff.
Lawyers and money. It's money.
It's money, yeah.
They want the money.
Yeah, lots of it. But, just the amount of paperwork, it was just so overwhelming. But, they don't make it easy, but then they make it really easy for, illegals. They've even set up, offices in different countries so they, can become, go right there and then they fly them over here to the United States. So they don't even cross the border.
Well, let me ask your opinion. You're being a Christian woman. Are you guys a part of a Southern Baptist church?
We used to, we went to, I don't know if Atlantic Shores was Southern Baptist, but I think I know where you're going with this. I saw what came out today about the women.
Yeah, what's your opinion on that?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I'm like, I don't know if I want to, I don't know. Personally, I like a male preacher. I wouldn't go to a church with a female preacher. That's just me. Now, there's female teachers and female leaders, like Joyce Meyer and that kind of thing. I don't have a problem with. But just personally, I would not want to go to a church unless there was a male preacher. But, that's me. What about you?
Well, I'll tell you a story. We went through a rough patch at a church up in Charlotte. We fired a homosexual music minister. And they retaliated and got us out shortly after that.
Oh, no.
And it was an ugly, ugly exit. And I did not realize a church could embrace that lifestyle like they did.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I am sitting there. We're trying to reboot, recover, get your resume up. And I'll be honest with you, at night when all the kids were asleep, that's when I would try to be tough for wife and the kids. But I had some weepy nights. It was tough because, Everyone thinks pastors, we don't have weak moments, and we do. But you know who at night I listen to?
Who?
John MacArthur.
Yeah.
And Joyce Meyer.
Yeah.
Joyce Meyer is a great teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So is John MacArthur. But and every now and then I'd listen to Cotton Candy Man. The one you are who you say, whatever, holds the Bible up. I know they say he doesn't preach on sin, but he does do some encouraging messages.
Joel Osteen.
Joel Osteen. And right there, that just burns some biscuits. There's someone just thinks that's hypocrisy. But my point is, Jesus would tell you that there's going to be folks that preach in my name, and the disciples wanted them to go. Said, hey, should we go stop them? He said, no, they're everyone's a little different. As long as and I'm going somewhere with this. Southern Baptists are having a tough patch right now. There's a lot of us losing interest in the political because they've been so driven, and the Russell Moores that ruined, and then they jump ship and go work for George Soros. Russell Moore did irreparable damage to the Southern Baptist Convention. Russell Moore, in my opinion, should be banned from Southern Baptist life.
Yeah.
But point is, ladies, I think so many people act like women don't have a voice at all. And I've got 3 daughters that are in ministry.
Mm-hmm.
I would not want to see any of them be lead pastors. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But my daughter was at one of our Southern Baptist seminaries, and she was the straight A kid, and sometimes they would have them do tours of the campus. They had a policy, Jolene, if even a teenage boy, if there was any male representation, she could not lead the tour. They did not want to look like she had any authority over any young man. She's just giving a freaking tour of the campus, telling you what the name of the building is, who sponsored it, etc. She could only do female-only tours.
Yeah, see, I don't agree with that at all.
That kind of that's a little stretch for me. But then you got others that say if you don't have some standards, But the bottom line, Southern Baptists are in decline. 64% of Americans that are Christians right now said they don't favor denominations anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Are you seeing that folks are going more non-denominational?
Yeah. The church that we go to is non-denominational. So, but I think the Southern Baptists, like you said, they had been going through some stuff over the past couple of years. And I was kind of surprised to see that today because it seems like they've gone a little bit more liberal, so for them to not vote, for the woman thing kind of surprises me.
Well, the way they went about it was wrong. I think. See, Southern Baptists can send, every church has equal representation. No matter the size of your church, you can have 10 messengers.
Mm-hmm.
They just all have to go. But if 10 people from your church want to go and they all 10 have an equal vote on anything that's brought up. Well, Southern Baptists, when I was checking out the vote, they didn't have maybe 10,000 people there at best.
Oh, really?
We used to have 15,000, 60,000. I remember back when George Bush wanted to address the Southern Baptist Convention. We were a power broker. We were the largest denomination in America. But they have a lot of the Russell Moore tenure, the 10 to 11 years he was with us. And if anybody doing the numbers, we decreased over half under Russell Moore's tutelage.
That's sad.
Because he was a troublemaker. But as he got us into all these problems and exasperated racial issues, everything he could, people lost interest. And the one thing that holds Southern Baptists together is a thing called the cooperative program.
Mm-hmm.
It's a joint mission effort to pool all your resources, no matter what's, if you have a church that has a great choir, you might have a church that has great drama ministry, whatever your thing is. But we all would give money to the cooperative program. And that's where we had the largest missionary force. We have the international and the home mission. And I think we still may be the largest missionary force. But we paid our missionaries full-time salaries. They didn't have to go raise funds. They didn't have to do fundraising letters. Plus, if they served 2 terms on the field, their children got free college at one of our Southern Baptist schools.
Oh, wow, that's great.
So our whole Southern Baptist Convention was based on missionaries to go around the world and share the gospel. What happened was Southern Baptist, though, the tool that taught them about that was the RAs and GAs, children's programs.
Mm-hmm.
And they got rid of that. And the men's ministry, back right before the year 2000, I believe, the men's ministry defunct in the Southern Baptist. So we've gone 24, 25 years without an official men's ministry. Well, the W, the Women's Mission Organization, it kind of fluctuates, depending on what state you're in. Some of it leans left and some leans right, but it tried to take over the children. But my point is, we don't have a model to teach kids why we're Southern Baptist, the cooperative program. So a lot of folks that are still Southern Baptist, and I'm preaching to the choir here, don't even know why there's a Southern Baptist Convention. What makes us different from any other church or denomination? And it's that cooperative program. And so here at our church, I try to teach on the cooperative program from time to time.
Right.
And we asking our kids' church to do so as well, just so they understand. But that's the only reason I stay Southern Baptist, is I believe in the mission effort, and I believe in the cooperative mission concept of reaching the world. But the other silly politics they've allowed to get in have been so divisive and destructive. A lot of us don't even go to the conventions anymore.
Yeah, that's a shame.
So it's just.
I mean, it's just you see church splits just all the time. I mean, the 2 churches that we attended, both of them had split. You know, I mean, it is just.
Well, Southern Baptists for they beat up their pastors. They get mad at him for something, and they run him off.
Yeah.
And
it's
thinking,
like
hey, they think we'll just hire someone new. After a while, the rumor's out. That church is trouble. So nobody wants to go there. So then they get a retread, somebody that's desperate for a job and will go there and just be the a beat up lamb, but they're not growing because no one wants to cast a vision. And it's very sad. But
I've just seen it. I don't know. I've lived it and seen it, and it's really sad. And I'm just like, I don't want to know anything. I just want to go to church. I don't want to know, any political stuff, because I've been through it, and it was heartbreaking what we went through. But this you've probably heard about the Methodist Church. They've lost 1 million members because of their decision.
Well, the young pastor, Appleton Methodist, right across from me, his name was Jake. He came and confided in me this was right before COVID, by the way. He even said if it weren't for COVID, they would have already split. But he was involved in meetings, and he chose to stay with the conservatives. And so he got relocated. Well, then the membership of Appleton Baptist here decided they want to stay conservative. They had to buy their buildings. And they gave them a deadline to buy their buildings and property back from the United Methodist so that they would not be labeled in the liberal camp, if you will. And I have an uncle in Atlanta area. They were a big church, and they had to raise several millions of dollars to buy their and they did. And, and so, but what's interesting about the Methodist situation, do you know what sparked the conservatism and that saved the conservative movement in Methodist was the Africans. African Methodists are very conservative.
Really?
And it was so many of them that were part of the United Methodists, they broke off and started what is the World Methodist. I think it's called the World Methodist something, or the Global Methodist. And that's the conservative Methodist group now.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Well, let me change gears and ask you what you think about, did you hear about the kids that got expelled from school because they used the word patriotism?
I did. And, I was listening to you earlier talk about the boy that wasn't able to give a speech because, had the word patriotism. And, well, the principal, there's now a petition to have her fired. I don't know if you said that. You may have already said it because I was listening to the show.
Mary Flock is her name. Mary Flock.
Right. So there's a petition to get her, for her to step down from that position. And I hope she will. It's a Catholic school, I believe.
Yeah, it's St. Bonaventure, and the principal is Mary Flock. And she told him his speech wasn't acceptable Now, it was supposed to be a patriotic day. They're wearing red, white, and blue, you see in the picture.
My goodness.
But he could not use the word patriotism. So she humiliated
insane.
him, wouldn't let him say his speech, so he went home and did it online. And because he did it online off school property, if I'm understanding it, she then says, you're expelled. You're not welcome back here next year.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's a lawsuit there, I would think.
What in the world is going
on? It just makes no sense. They are trying to make it to where these patriotism or patriot or anything, along those lines are unacceptable words. And a lot of people, they just listen to the news and they're just brainwashed, They don't see what's really going on.
Well, I've got to go to another lady issue to see where you stand, and that's the Caitlin Clark issue.
That's sad.
Now they're so saying that because she didn't go to all the camps because she was in the Final Four, so she didn't participate in all the camps supposedly like the other ladies did. Now, okay, that makes a little sense. But they have allowed Rebecca Lobo, Candace Parks, others right out of their rookie year to be on the Olympic team.
Right.
So they've got a precedent. Sue Bird, Taurasi, Candace Parks, and several others. Do you think, and I'm just asking, it's because she's white, Christian, and straight that they don't like her?
Personally, I think it is that. Way to go and just knock yourself in your own face, because she has brought so much attention to women's basketball.
Well, that's
and
what Steve.
Think about what that could do for the Olympics too. Or even the WNBA. And she's being treated terribly. But
and the coach benched her the other night, and some people think that was a test to prove their point. They said if they put her on the team and she didn't get a lot of playing time, then the masses would be crying for her to play more. Okay, isn't that what you want? It's called attention. She would bring attention to the team.
Exactly, and I was watching a video that goes when the coach benched her. I don't know if this was like just a recent game. She had 4 fouls. Well, the people in the stands that were for the other team started, applauding her and trying to get her back in. So, the rival team, they basically turned on itself, because they could even see that she wasn't, being treated fair. I don't know how much time was left in the game, but, you probably saw that foul where she was just pushed.
Oh,
for
yeah,
nothing,
Yeah, the girl came from behind and just blindsided her. And see, people get hurt. She could land and break a wrist or sprain an ankle.
Or, you're not expecting to be hit from behind like that. That could jerk your neck or anything.
Well, what happened after she did that, I don't know if you saw her team. Devil Reese stood up and the others clapping. Some call her Angel Reese. I call her Devil Reese. Some call her Angel Reese. I call her Devil Reese. But Devil got up and clapped and celebrated that she got blindsided.
Yeah. It's an embarrassment for women because the cattiness, women should be supporting each other. And I think for the most part they do. But, in situations like this, I don't know. I don't understand it, why they can't support each other. I'm sure it's jealousy, because she's, has some, broken so many records and I don't know. Didn't Brittany Griner, she made for the Olympic team, right?
Yeah, she was as a rookie made the team, and then they're trying to. Then Taurasi says all those kind of choppy statements during the NBA Final Four. Her and Sue Bird were kind of mocking that when she comes to the big girls league, she's going to have a setback. Would you know she's right now outpacing Taurasi in scoring and assists?
No, I didn't know that.
But she's not good enough to be on the team with Taurasi. But it's just, and here's the deal. I think they're jealous because she's got the Nike contract, all the other endorsements. She's got the basketball deal that hasn't been since Jordan. She's got the signature basketball coming out. Her jersey's global. It's the largest selling global. I think there's a part of the WNBA that says we don't want her to be the face. We don't want her to be the Jordan of our league because
that's a good point.
she doesn't represent, she doesn't check our boxes. I guarantee you, if she was lesbian, that would be a game changer.
That is really a good point because that WNBA is known for that, and she's doesn't fit that box, so that would make a lot of sense that they would not want her to be the face of that. So that is probably what's going on. I never thought of it that way.
Well, she's not like super duper Christian girl, but she's a Catholic, I believe. So she's a Christian. She's heterosexual, and she's white. And you got people like Jamel Hill, and all these real racist women of color that have come out very bluntly. And then the lady on The View that's a lady of color says that she's white privilege is the only reason she. I'm going, hello, she shoots a logo three-pointer.
Oh, God.
Okay.
They didn't have a problem with that foul either, of course.
Well, they thought it was a rite of passage.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Lisa Leslie, former MVP and great star. She says the plane shouldn't leave without her to the Olympics. So there's there's a divide between commentaries and even some former WNBA players. But there's two, and I wish I could remember their names, Jolene, but two ladies that said they were straight and they were Christian, and they retired early because of the pressure they put on them.
That's just really sad, to see, because, think about how, if it was the opposite, how good it could be, and everyone cheering each other and getting excited for the Olympics. And Caitlin, she just, I think I sent you, something about how many people were at the games when she was playing versus when she was not playing. It was almost like double.
She averages 17 to 18,000 the games that she plays in, and the rest of the league when she's not playing averages between 4 and 6.
So, there's got to be something behind that, because she would be drawing in all these people, and then they would be able to get noticed as well.
Let me tell you, every Batman needs a Robin. You've heard that. What happened for Michael Jordan is when they got Scottie Pippen in there.
Yeah.
They need to find her somebody that's going to be, if you want to call it a helper, an enforcer. Somebody that when they get chippy steps in between. Because you notice Jordan, when people go after him, his team, the thing that this has also been brought up by several pro athletes, is how her team, when she gets knocked around, they don't look like they're trying to help her.
They don't. I know. I've been really disappointed in that. It seems like they're not. They should stand up for her, or something, but they don't. And, I tell you what, though, from what I've seen of when they interview her, she is a classy girl.
Oh, yeah.
She does not complain. She does not, act like I'm a victim. She is just, she does not say anything negative. Doesn't act like she's better than that or should be this. She's a very class act, if you ask me.
Well, at this point, someone asked me on a blog, what if, because right now they've got a lady that they picked in the top. Remember this, if you've been hearing, well, she hasn't earned the right. There's 12 players better than her. Well, one of the ladies hadn't even played this year. She's on injured reserved.
Yes, I think I heard you say that too. I was just going to bring that up.
I'm going, okay, is she going out in a wheelchair? What's the deal? Because she can't walk right now without her.
Right.
So the point is, it's all minutia that they're throwing at us. If I was counseling Caitlin Clark, I would say, hey, I wouldn't go now if they paid me. I'd say, listen, this isn't worth this has gotten out of hand, the attention. I think you guys made your decision, live with it, and I'll see you in 4 years, maybe. And she may never want to play for that team. Because as much as she wants to represent her country, but the people that run it.
She's being real positive. But look at the stats. Why don't they go by the stats? I mean, what is it they're
Well, it's the women that run it. If you go look at the 5 women that made that decision, and one was the former coach of LSU, okay, Mike's LSU. Those 5 women were in agreement to leave Caitlin off. And they're all women of color but one.
Oh, wow.
And I'll leave the other questions that we talked about. But when you do a little research on those ladies, Caitlin Clark doesn't check any of their boxes.
No, she doesn't.
So that, to me, and that coach that's coaching is also a WNBA coach. And after Caitlin's first game, she made a very sarcastic tweet or X. So I think Caitlin be wise. I don't think I would want to go play for that coach or get, Toronto and them have made it clear they don't like you. Don't get in their, don't share oxygen with them. Leave them alone. Just do your thing. She says they've released a monster, and that'd be my advice. Hey, but switching gears here, what's your thought about Nancy Pelosi on tape admitting that January 6th was her fault?
Yeah, that was quite a surprise. And, what's so funny is she was on TV the very next day. So that tells you a lot right there, is their reaction. Because, she got herself up on there, to whatever, defend herself or, blame Trump for it or whatever. But that tells me, I don't know who released it. And, the January 6th committee, either deleted that or thought they deleted that video or, didn't include that in all their stuff. So it has a lot of people talking right now, that's for sure.
Well, Blaze Media has Nancy Pelosi panics when new January 6th footage shows her making damning admission about the Capitol security that directly contradicts their supposed committee's objective, and she says very clearly, I'm responsible.
Yeah, she does. She says it.
And so with that, okay, you got that. You've got Hunter Biden not only being convicted, but item number 16 that was admitted into evidence.
I heard you talk about that, yeah.
The FBI admitted the laptop. The mysterious laptop has finally been admitted into federal court as evidence in a Ziploc baggie because of the cocaine residue on his fingertips and stuff that was used. I got to ask you, I know they always get out. I mean, just like, everybody thought Bill Clinton was, when he got caught with Monica Lewinsky, he still weaseled out. I don't think Biden gets out of this. I think, I don't, I was listening to Steve Forbes yesterday and some others. They think he steps down and Harris takes over. What say you?
It could be, I've been trying to decipher this thing too, because it could be one or the other. I feel like part of it is, of all the different things that he should be going to court for, the gun charge is nothing. And I think they, just did that to try to say, see, we're fair. We can do Trump. We treat, Hunter the same way. Nothing will happen. But on the other hand, they have got to figure out a way to get Joe out of there. They have no choice. He is just getting worse and worse. I mean, you've seen the videos from the past couple of days, I'm sure. I mean, it is bad.
Well, they've actually got him in that Norway looking like he's pooping on himself.
Well, I know.
I mean, Tim Cast, and several of the podcasters played it in slow motion, and you got Jill putting her hand in her mouth
you see
like,
her face?
oh my gosh, because evidently there must have been noises involved, and she ushered him out.
She did, but like you said, if you watch it on slow motion, her face, she was horrified, and she couldn't hide it, and she didn't know what to do. You could tell she's just like, whatever it is, she just kind of leads them off.
And watch Macron. He keeps his face forward, but his eyes, he turns them like, what just happened? So I think he made noises, but the bottom line is they got him out of there. He was supposed to greet the veterans and stuff. They took him the opposite direction. Macron had to go greet the troops and the veterans, and they had to go change Joe's diaper, evidently.
See what I mean? It's like, this guy is our leader? This is a threat to our security. I mean, it has been, but it is just so bad right now. I just do not see how he's going to debate Trump in a couple of weeks. So this Hunter thing could be their way to kind of get him to step down, because the next thing is the tax.
Well, here's the thing. Now that laptop has been admitted to evidence, it's officially been acknowledged. So that's calling the 50 people that signed that letter, calling it Russian disinformation, exposes them as liars, Brennan and Comey and all them. And also, the FBI agents guaranteed this has not been influenced at all by Russia. Okay, so that has been entered into federal court as evidence in this case. I don't know if you know this, but they can now take that with the IRS court coming up.
Yeah.
And now they have access to it's on official federal docket, if you will. And the word is they think that Biden refused to step down, or Jill, or whoever's in their orbit. And I think I said this earlier in the last hour. If he would step down and let Kamala be the first female president, even though it's 5 months left, it would rally some female support, and I think they would have a better chance with her. Because I think Biden gets blown out. Do you agree?
I think they would have a better chance. No one likes Kamala, but you're right. You know, the first female, that would get a whole lot of female votes.
I think it would.
So they would be better off if they did that, I think, because I don't know of anybody else really that they can run.
Now you're a Christian lady, and your husband works for CBN News. I mean, so you guys are around a lot of Christian people. But what would be your take if Trump were to pick Tulsi Gabbard, who's a Hindu? Would that affect you at all with your?
Oh goodness, you know, I didn't realize she was Hindu, but I think Vivek Ramaswamy is Hindu as well. And you know, I mean, he always says the right things, and he seems to be, you know, genuine. But I still have my doubts because there's some connection with Soros somewhere back in there.
Yeah, they paid for his education.
Right. But you know, I don't know. He seems like maybe he changed and he's really for Trump. But I'm like, I don't think I would want that. You know, I would want a Christian president.
Well, I mean, Swami helped get Ronna McDaniel fired, so that he did do one good thing for sure.
Did he? Yeah.
Yeah, when he called her up and offered her to resign with his time and all that, and he brought to light how every election that we've lost was under her watch. They try to blame Trump, but you look at it, it's her who is, and she's Mitt Romney's niece.
Yeah.
So I think there's a connection there, and you got to wonder if they intentionally tanked some things.
You know they did. They can't stand Trump.
Yeah.
So she was sabotaging, and I'm so glad that she's out of there. You know, and Laura Trump is in there. She's like number 2. So they're getting things done.
Well, we got just a couple of minutes here before we go. Is there anything else Jolene wanted to bring to the table today?
Well, let's see. You were talking about Pelosi earlier. So you probably heard about, you know, Macron and France, how they just had an election, and you know, they have a different new leader, and they're, you know, now they're all the left over there, you know, burning things down and doing all this stuff. I can't think of the name of the lady that is now in charge, but you know, her first thing she said is, "I will not let the New World Order take over our country, and I am going to deport all these illegals," you know. And I'm like, wow, you know. So, and there was, you know, several, not just France, but there's several elections, you know, different countries. All these elections went to the conservative side. So
except Mexico.
Yeah, now that's weird, because all of the people that were running against her died or were killed.
56 people died in this last campaign that were running for office.
Yeah.
That's a little much.
Yeah, and you know that Mexico is Catholic. They're not going to vote for some liberal, you know what I'm saying? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. So that was definitely, you know, we know CIA is involved in a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm very appalled. Well, hey, thanks for being on the show today. I'm sorry, got to cut it short, but Jolene will be calling in a minute. But tell Mike I hope he's feeling better from the wreck, and tell him LSU's coach cost Caitlin Clark from being on the Olympic team, and that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, I will tell her. But thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, we'll see you next week.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
That's Jolene Carter from Virginia, who calls in every Wednesday, and she's in a blue state that's flipping red. We'll be back after these messages.
Everything from gender identity to mental health, school-age children face serious challenges today. To help students, a number of states are allowing volunteer chaplains to serve as counselors in public schools. The latest is Florida, where Governor Ron DeSantis recently signed a measure into law. Charlene Aaron reports on this growing trend.
After this law takes effect July 1st, the process will begin as volunteer chaplains apply and undergo background checks. Then it will be up to school districts, individual students, and their parents to take part.
No one's being forced to do anything, but to exclude religious groups from campus, that is discrimination. You're basically saying that God has no place. That's wrong.
And it's a great thing. My dad was a preacher. I'm a preacher's kid, and it's great.
More than a dozen states have proposed measures to allow chaplains in public schools.
17 states are involved in chaplain legislation. Just recently, it passed out of both houses of Louisiana. We expect it to be sent to the governor soon. It's happening around the country because it is so needed.
Florida House Speaker Paul Renner believes chaplains can possibly offer alternatives for students, pointing out that guidance counselors in the state had allowed and even encouraged students to transition to the opposite sex without their parents' consent.
They were giving them different clothes to wear, changing their name without ever telling their parents. And if this is the kind of guidance they're getting from guidance counselor, I think it's about time we have a different perspective in the middle of the school that does respect our values.
This push for chaplains comes as mental health issues among students are growing and schools face a shortage of counselors. According to the American School Counselor Association, the disparity for the 2022-2023 school year came in at a ratio of 385 students to one counselor. The recommended number is 250 to 1. Rocky Malloy leads the National School Chaplains Association.
I got news of 2 children that committed suicide. One was in 8th grade, one was in 10th grade. And it's schools that did not have chaplains. The chaplain's role is to prevent that type of calamity from happening.
In 2023, Texas became the first state to allow school chaplains to help counter a decrease in qualified mental health professionals and growing teacher burnout.
The idea that our teachers now are experiencing high levels of trauma and PTSD, that is something new that's happening in education, and our teachers need support. Chaplains are great to help our teachers through this.
Texas Board of Education member Julie Pickren says chaplains have also resulted in making schools safer.
A chaplain in Texas was key in one of our school districts at noticing what was happening with the students and what was going on with these young girls, and brought it to light to the sheriff, and was instrumental in identifying this human trafficking ring in a school district in Texas.
Critics, however, claim chaplains could do more harm than good. One concern being their only requirement is passing a background check, and that schools notate a chaplain's religious affiliation. The American Civil Liberties Union of Florida stating, public schools are not Sunday schools and chaplains are not school counselors. Allowing chaplains to assume official positions, whether paid or voluntary, in public schools as counselors or other support staff will undermine this right by creating an environment ripe for evangelizing and religious coercion of students in violation of the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. A claim Renner disputes.
The Constitution prohibits the establishment of a religion, for example, forcing us all to be Catholic or Baptist. It does not in any way, shape, or form, despite a lot of effort to say otherwise, prohibit the free exercise of religion. And so the left has done a good job of trying to get Christians out of the public life altogether.
Meanwhile, in Oklahoma, the Satanic Temple is seeking to take advantage of this movement, threatening to deploy its ministers into schools if the state approves a measure allowing chaplains. That's something the state's education chief, Ryan Walters, strongly opposes, saying Satanists are not welcome in Oklahoma's schools.
60 years ago, they said they did something. They said, we don't need God or spirituality in school. Look where it took us to today. God is back. The chaplain is the perfect person They're the spiritual source of a school.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
You know, they should be in there. We're seeing such a rise of suicide, of mental health issues in even grade school children, and we have to do something. We just can't abandon them and say, well, you know, you're on your own. How can we do that? I would encourage any pastor who wants to do this kind of work, please get training in counseling. Don't just assume that you've got all the answers. Get the proper training that you need, and there are plenty of pathways to become a licensed counselor. And that way you're immune from all attacks because you're now a counselor.
It is time for Christians to roar, to make a difference in the community. That is the belief of Metro Tabernacle Church and Dr. Steve Ball. They have the School of Roar. The School of Roar is hosting a summer 2024 The Prophetic. Classes open to everyone and registration is free. Do you want to learn how to work more in the prophetic? Attend one of the class schedules. Registration deadline June 2nd. There will be a class Tuesday, June 18th at 6:30 p.m. and one again July 16th at 6:30 p.m. You can register at the website metrotab.net or myroar.org. That is myroar.org. It is time for the church to roar.
Hunter Biden was found guilty of 3 gun charges in a Delaware courtroom Tuesday. 100 miles south in Washington, D.C., Republicans in Congress continue to say there is a 2-tiered system of justice and that the Bidens should face even more criminal charges.
Listen, the Biden crime family, why is it called the Biden crime family? There is so much that we have looked at that they should be obviously charged with. But when you have a corrupt DOJ, you got an FBI director, that's nothing but garbage. The whole administration is trouble.
After the verdict, President Biden released a statement that said, "I will accept the outcome of this case and will continue to respect the judicial process as Hunter considers an appeal." President Biden said in a recent interview that he would not pardon his son, but Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna does not think he'll stand by that.
On Election Day, when those polls close, I think that you're going to see that Biden will eventually pardon his son.
Luna said the DOJ should take action against Hunter Biden for his foreign business dealings while his father was vice president and accused him of lying to Congress about it. Congressman Jamie Raskin criticized Republicans for attacking the justice system.
Hunter Biden was just convicted of every single count that was brought against him by the U.S. Department of Justice. I've not heard a single Democrat anywhere in the country cry fraud, cry fixed, cry rigged, cry kangaroo court, or any of the many epithets that our colleagues have mobilized against the U.S. Department of Justice and our federal court system.
While progress in the Republicans' impeachment inquiry into President Biden has stalled, they are moving to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress for not handing over the audio recordings of President Biden's interview with Special Counsel Robert Hur. We'll keep you informed about that upcoming vote on the Straight Arrow News app.
And as I hung up the phone, it occurred to me he'd grown up just like me. My boy was just like me. And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you're coming home, son, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, Dad. We're gonna have a good time there.
And that is the song for the Bidens today, Cats in the Cradle, because the boy is just like his dad, much like the song says. Well, we got Maria Wagner on the phone calling in. She is with Moms for America. And Maria, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Macil. How are you doing today?
Oh, my. I tell you, it's been exciting. We had Dave Adams on at the first hour talking about the big rally he's a part of in coming up in North Georgia. He's on the leadership team. They're going to have General Flynn and Laura Logan.
Oh, nice.
Keynote speakers.
Let's go.
So that's Heartbeat USA, and way to go for him on that. Dave Adams and his Street Level America ties. It's going to be a powerful rally. And speaking of that, you've got a headliner, Moms for America. You guys are doing something with Tucker Carlson. What's this all about?
Yeah, I've been busting at the seams. I've been wanting to say this for quite some time, and now we can officially say that Moms for America will be going on tour with Tucker Carlson in the fall, starting September 4th. And if you want to get tickets, you can go to our website, momsforamerica.us. You can get general tickets from Ticketmaster, but you can get that through our website. But the VIP room and the VIP tickets you can only get from Moms for America.
Okay. And is he coming to Chattanooga?
I wish. If I have any suggestions I'm going to make to his team, I would love that. But I'm seeing, Phoenix, California, Colorado, Utah, Tulsa. And they have guests like Bongino, Megyn Kelly, Charlie Kirk, Glenn Beck, Tulsi Gabbard, Vivek and Russell Brand, and Roseanne.
Well, tell him he could come to Nashville, and I'm sure Taylor Swift would be on the program with him.
Oh, yeah.
Make him a Swift.
Oh, yeah.
Make him a Swiftie.
I ain't no Swiftie.
Oh, I'm just kidding. But that is cool to see him rebound. After Fox thought they were going to demoralize him, he's probably one of the most listened to voices in America or around the world.
Oh, for sure.
So.
For sure. What they thought they could silence, God turned into something amazing, and he's doing amazing things.
And for Moms for America, for you guys to hook up with him and connect in such a way, I think that's pretty phenomenal. That also, to me, shows how Moms for America is becoming a very formidable force in the conservative movement that people like Tucker Carlson and a lot of folks want to align with Moms for America. Are you noticing that more now than ever?
Well, I think it's a blessing that Tucker, first of all, got to know the hearts of our president, Kimberly Fletcher, and Vice President Debbie Carlitis. And they speak for the rest of our team. We have a heart that loves the Lord and loves our country and wants to preserve our freedoms every opportunity we get. So we're just appreciative he saw that and wants to lock arms with us.
Well, we've got another announcement. We can't tell all the details yet, but Maria Wagner will have her own show here on the 96.9 Destiny Media Radio here locally in Chattanooga. And I'm sure you'll be putting that on social media as well. And as soon as you and Super Dave work out the details, but we're excited for your program. Hopefully to have that launched. It'll be before the fall, I'm sure in the next several weeks. But I hope I don't lose you on Wednesdays. But but you do a great job. And have you noticed how women? I sense a turn to conservatism. Are you sensing that across the country?
Well, I'm on a team call every week with some folks in Canada and some folks in the U.S. And we had this discussion yesterday that, I know you're asking about women in particular, but they're also talking about the younger generations turning to conservatism and seeing how all the other races and elections were going on in Europe too are reflecting that.
Yeah, I think the younger people have the ability to do their own research now. Used to, you'd have to take the words of the commentators or even maybe a podcaster, whereas now folks will say, let me check that for myself, because we all know now Snoops, who everybody thought was the ultimate fact checker, it's owned by the DNC, so that was nothing but false fact checking. And
right.
We found out Google. So when you go to Brave search engine,
which I've been using ever since you suggested.
Yeah, when you do that, people start saying, that I can find the liars and the lies so much easier on my own. And I think women in general, and I don't mean this to slap guys around, but ladies are more, hey, give me the facts. I don't like, women have an integrity gene that you guys really want to know what's for real. Whereas guys, we like to exaggerate. We like to say our fish was twice as big. Exaggerate about things. Whereas ladies are like going, nah, just tell me the truth. And I think that's a part of the female makeup. That's we're made in God's image. I think that's part of what the ladies are like. God's image is you all have I think a bigger knack than men for integrity, and I think as they're finding truth out, I just think that we're winning the war with the message, and I think that's what's going to be a huge win for Trump. I think he's winning more female votes than he ever has.
And I would like to add to that, though, whether you're a mom or not, God made us to be nurturers, and I think a lot of moms, whether they're moms or not, are seeing what is happening to our children and how it just seems every part of society is after our children. And so that mama bear comes out, whether you're a mom or not, and it comes out fiercely. So I agree with you.
Well, that's where I have a great mom, for instance, and I have
Me too.
a sister.
She's listening.
Yeah, that's right. Your mom's one of my fans. And
she's one of your biggest fans.
And I got a sister and I got a wife. All three of them are wonderful, but all three of them do not have college degrees. But that doesn't make them any less a wonderful woman, an intelligent woman. And I think that's something else that's coming out. For years, they made women feel like, hey, you need to get educated and get away from being under the man's mantle, if you will. And that kicker.
Well, I drank that Kool-Aid too.
Well, exactly, and they make you feel staying at home and nurturing kids is inferior. I need a career. Not realizing raising kids is a great career. If that's what you choose, I'm not against women having careers, and I'm for equal pay. When women I've hired on my staffs in the past, they were all shocked. I always paid better than other churches in the area.
Wow.
On purpose, because I want them to walk away saying what you just said. Wow. But there's a lot of people out there that think, hey, women, and I'm going somewhere with this. Now we're in a situation in the Southern Baptist Convention where women pastors came up and they tried to vote an amendment that women cannot be ordained ministers, and it failed. Were you surprised at that?
Oh, I'm sorry, when was that?
Yesterday. Oh, actually, this morning. It's Wednesday this morning. Today's Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was earlier today. The vote was held, and what's interesting is First Baptist Richmond, Virginia, dropped out of the Southern Baptist Convention a week and a half ago, thinking that because they have some women pastors in their church, thinking that this was going to be the new thing, and so and what happened was they didn't get the votes, so it failed.
So they were voting to allow women to be ordained pastors?
Well, that seems to be the concern, is that having a lady as the lead senior pastor.
Okay.
So that basically, because every Southern Baptist church is local autonomy, meaning Appleton Baptist, where I'm at, they hire me or fire me. There's no hierarchy that oversees who, you know what I mean? But if they hire me and I turn out to be a devil worshiper or something like that, then they can excommunicate the church. They can't fire me, but they could bring condemnation on the church body and say you're no longer a Southern Baptist.
Really?
In good standing, yeah. But whereas the Methodists and others, they have a hierarchy that picks pastors and places them in different congregations.
Okay.
And you know what I'm saying? There's a difference. It's kind of a presbytery, if you will. But to try to explain it, I guess where I'm going with this is 64% of Americans right now that claim to be born again said they do not like a denominational label. And you worked as a pastor's assistant before at a church, and you and Mark have been, of course, in churches and strong Christians. But you also are a godly lady. Do you have an opinion on women in ministry? Do you think there's limitations put on you guys that there shouldn't be?
I don't think it's considered a limitation. I just think it's, how God's equipped men and women differently, but we complement each other. And unfortunately, our church back in Chicago, I don't know why they weren't strong enough in their stance in God's word, and so a bunch of women wanted to form this committee to make a decision if women can be elders and pastors and such. I fought my way to be on that committee because I was told no 3 times, yet I was on the committee because I felt that strongly about and convicted in God's word that that's not a woman's area or place to be as a pastor, and but that doesn't mean anything belittling or anything less of her. It just means God's got different plans where he wants to equip women.
Well, that's what I think's amazing is people think the word submit is a dirty word.
Right.
And it's not. But the point is God intended for the husband to be the head of the house. And
right.
I believe, too, he would prefer a male lead the church. But when Paul was on his missionary journey, do you remember he had a vision, a man crying out to him from Macedonia? Do you remember that?
I don't.
In Acts, it said he heard he had a vision because he couldn't make up his mind which way to go. And for the first and only time in Scripture, in Acts, it says the Spirit of Jesus told him not to go the directions he was and to head to Macedonia. So he goes to Macedonia, and it happens to be Ephesians, the city. And as he gets there, he couldn't find any men. He found a ladies' Bible study led by Lydia outside the city.
Oh, wow.
And then Paul and Silas were later thrown in jail. But my thought is the reason because the men were in bondage. And you remember the jailer gets saved,
oh, right.
caused the earthquake and all that. But my whole point in that is, if it hadn't been for the women outside praying, see the value of the power of prayer. Ladies played a key role, I think, in seeing Ephesus becoming what it was. And when Paul wrote his prison epistles, when he wrote to Ephesus, it was the only church he did not rebuke. He complimented them.
Wow.
And I wonder back if that's part of that prayer power of Lydia, the seller of purple.
That's pretty cool.
And, ladies have a place in the body, and they should not, if guys beat their chest too hard and try to put them in their place, that's not good. But then you got, like John MacArthur and Beth Moore went at each other a few years ago. Because Beth Moore went off and said that the Southern Baptists were, all that stuff. And then John MacArthur, who's not really a Southern Baptist, said she needs to go back to the kitchen where she belongs. And, boy, it just, it was on like Donkey Kong. And but you had Russell Moore ruining the convention within, and you had Beth Moore, an esteemed leader, attacking. So we called it the Moore twins, Russell and Beth Moore. By the time they got done with the Southern Baptist Convention and all their issues, they did a lot of damage.
Wow.
And it's sad.
Yeah, it sounds like it got nasty.
Well, they had a vote today, and then they did a presidential vote, and they had 3 guys that went to vote. Now, I'm a graduate of Mid-America Seminary, and a guy from Mid-America actually ran, but he didn't make it after the first round. But they had, I'll read the name, Clint Presley, pastor of Hickory Grove Baptist in Charlotte, North Carolina. David Allen, a professor at Mid-America Baptist Theological Seminary. And then Dan Spencer, pastor of First Baptist Church, Sevierville.
Oh, really?
And after the vote, David Allen pulled out, and they had to do another vote. And eventually the guy from Clint Presley eventually got it. But
okay, and this is for president.
For president of the Southern Baptist Convention. And I say that to say convention, the Southern Baptists are down in number. You can tell by just the voting, there's about right at 10,000 people. We used to have 50, 60,000.
Wow.
My point is we were the largest denomination at one time.
Oh.
So you have disagreement among leadership. It took several votes. You had the disagreement on women there. I guess my point is do you see you deal with a lot of Christian ladies and Moms for America? Do you ever see people treating your Moms for America as like their church because they associate more with a parachurch organization than the actual church? I know I'm throwing these at you without any warning, so.
Well, I guess I'm not following the question. Can you tell me that again?
A parachurch organization like is an FCA, Moms for Liberty, Moms for America. They're pretty much Christian-rooted organizations, but they're not the actual church.
Right.
The Billy Graham Association, But some people can get so involved in an organization like that, they don't get involved in their local church.
Okay.
And I think sometimes that's a very tempting thing because, one, they have a mission and a vision at some of these parachurch organizations, sometimes stronger than the local church does. And but with that said, because 64% of Americans right now said they're Christians, but they don't want to be tied to a denomination. And there's got to be reasons for that. I'm just trying to have that quick discussion with you because with you having Moms for America, you're not you guys don't call yourself a Christian organization. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct. Although we have a lot of believers on our team.
And you guys pray, read scripture, and at your gatherings.
We do, and a lot of it is because we teach in our classes about America's history and how our America was founded on Judeo-Christian values. So, we point back to parts of Scripture that influenced the forefathers when they were crafting our documents.
Well, like when you and Jamie led that biblical citizenship class here,
yeah.
I asked two ladies because I knew, and was it not, 80% of the audience was ladies.
Yeah, it was.
And so
you're right.
I thought ladies would probably would rather be led by ladies than. You watch videos, but then to lead the discussion. So you and Jamie did a great job leading the discussions.
Oh,
but,
thank you.
But just looking out, I noticed that it was a much more female audience, and I think that's reflective on a lot of churches today. And we've got to find a way to get men back. I was at Walmart today looking for gifts for my wife's dad.
Oh, my goodness. Thanks for the reminder.
And she well, don't go to Walmart in Ottawa. They didn't have jack, man. I'm going around thinking, I actually asked for a manager. I said, do you have anything for Father's Day?
Wow.
He had to call a lady and said, do we have anything? And he took me this little bitty section. And they had they only had 12 or 13 T-shirts, and that's it.
Huh?
That was it. And I said, "Is this because you all had a lot stocked up?" He goes, he asked the lady. She goes, "No, just not that many folks buy stuff for Father's Day, so we don't do for them like we do Mother's Day." Now that may be just the only Walmart that did this, but I went around Walmart 3 times and finally found a manager and said, "Hey." Because he likes fishing, and there's a Father's Day fishing shirt I saw at another store. I thought surely Walmart would have it. Should have got it at the other store. Long and short,
oh no,
I ended up with a Spider-Man shirt. That's all they had. Super Dad, but he doesn't care for Spider-Man, so I don't know if he'll like it. Hey, if you're listening to the show, Dad, sorry about that, but anyway, with that said. I don't know. Men involvement in the church and in the movement of God. There used to be a thing called Promise Keepers. Do you remember that?
Oh, my husband went to a couple of those, yes.
Yes, I did too. And you'd see a stadium of 40,000, 30,000 men singing This Little Light of Mine, weeping, I'm going to let it shine.
What happened to that?
Well, the founder, the Coach McCarthy from Colorado, felt a need to confess he had an affair on his wife years ago.
Oh, wow.
And when he confessed he had an affair on her while he was coaching, I think he thought everybody was going to say, oh, way to go, being honest. They sabotaged him.
Oh, really?
Ended up, he had to get out of the program. His wife got so embarrassed and humiliated because he confessed his sin publicly. she didn't leave him or nothing, but it just, I don't think that was a wise move. If you should confess your sin as far as it's known. Have you ever heard that?
Right.
Yeah. So if you've sinned about something, and maybe the family or the people is impacted, but you don't need to get on the microphone and tell the world something that you did. I personally don't think. But anyway, that's where. So shortly after that, it just kind of 2 or 3 guys tried to pick up the mantle, and I think it's still alive today, but it's much, much smaller. But with that said, that was a movement that I saw men getting excited about.
Oh, yeah.
But it's hard. I've got a men's group. We meet once a week on Tuesday, and I got a lot of young fathers. I've got 5. But it's hard to get all 5 of them there.
Wow.
And I'm not calling them out, but but there's 2 that are there every week, no matter what. I got 2 dudes that are really growing deep.
You got some steady ones.
I got some. Yeah, they're going to be leaders in the church. I have no doubt. But anyway, Moms for America, you guys have that unity of America and God. It seems like to me, even though you are not a Christian organization, I think you guys embrace it because of our heritage as a Christian nation. Would that be correct in assuming that?
Absolutely. Yeah, because we lead by saying faith, family, and freedom, and a lot of the moms that are in our organization or lead groups happen to be Christian because, they love God and they love their country. And that's what I think draws them to our classes that we teach.
Well, I've got to ask you this. Do you have many politicians that are part of Moms for America?
We have moms that are part of Moms for America that are running right now. So, yes, that are either in office currently, like Mary Miller for Illinois loves Moms for America. We have, Marsha Blackburn, Tennessee, who loves us. But we also have some mama bears that are currently running right now for office.
Well, I know you had Lauren Bobart at one of your events from Colorado.
Yes.
I'm just curious, do any of them ever want to join Moms for America, or do they see that as is it too hard for them to be in the Senate, or like Marjorie Taylor Greene? Would it be hard for her to be a member of Moms for America?
Not at all. I gave her a T-shirt when I first met her when we first moved here.
Okay.
No, we would love for them to, and they do sometimes will tag us in social media and talk about us, and like the Carrie Lakes or the Marjorie Taylor Greenes or the Lauren Boberts.
Well, I got to ask you. Speaking of lady politicians, what do you think about Nancy Pelosi and the footage that came out about her admitting January 6th was her fault?
I had so many questions about that last night because Bongino had a really good podcast that Mark and I watched all about that. And it just seems like, how were they video? I guess it was her daughter recording it for her article or a book or something.
Yeah, her daughter recorded it, and it was kind of and then the House Ways and Means Committee somehow got hold of it, because I think anything goes in the cloud stays in the cloud. And
right.
Probably somebody with NSA or somebody ties. But anyway, if you've watched it, she does have a mask on, and there may be folks saying, hey, was that AI generated, or was she really? But it looked like to me, the hand gesturing and the eyes, it looked to me like it was genuine. But did you have any doubts?
Not really. I mean, I could tell when I first listened to it and I didn't visually see it. I'm like, she must have a mask on because she sounded a little muffled, and sure enough, she did. I don't know, when you see her outline, her hair. I mean, it all seems like it is her, and she wasn't she doing damage control the other day too?
Yeah, and the thing that's come out is the chief of police of the Capitol Police. Let's see his name. I've got him pulled up too. He wanted to be interviewed by her little committee, but they fired him the next day.
Right.
His name was Sang, I think that's how you pronounce it. But he, oh boogers, I've misplaced the article. But he, he, is this it? There it is. Yeah, ex-Capitol Police Stephen Sund, S-U-N-D. He, Fox News, Tucker was had interviewed him, and that's
right.
Many people think that's why they fired Tucker, because Tucker announced Friday he was going to announce that. And then remember, Tucker was fired, because that Friday he acted like everything was fine, but they kept the video. So Tucker had him back at his new place and redid the interview. But
exactly.
But someone has leaked portions of the original interview.
Oh, really?
A leaked interview between ex-Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund and former Fox News host Tucker Carlson revealed that Sund believed officials were aware of January 6 U.S. Capitol insurrection before it happened and the cover-up, and the right-wing news company, the National Pulse, leaked the interview, which was never aired by Fox. And
wow.
They've got 5 minutes and 49 seconds of it. You can watch online.
Oh my goodness, you're kidding.
So, and then Tucker had him at his new thing. It's a 55-minute and 21-second. I've watched it several times, and the guy's very clear that it was. He believes it was a big setup, and it's very nefarious in the way it was all handled. But with that said, for Nancy Pelosi to be on tape saying I'm responsible, and the statement she said, I'm just curious. You're a mama bear and got an organization. Is there any thing Moms for America could do to help make this more aware to people?
I'm not sure. I mean, whether there's any intention for any future press releases, or because sometimes our president will comment on things like such as this, but I don't know if that will happen. I still am wondering why she said it. You know what I mean?
Here's what she said. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of this thing that they've already breached the inaugural stuff? Should we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with, Pelosi said. And then McCullough, her chief of staff, was in the car too, said, but Pelosi just lashed out and cut her off. She says, it's not a question of how they don't know, Pelosi interjected. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them prepare for more.
Now, but see, my question is, she can say, I take full responsibility, they didn't know. Okay, but she is the one that told Trump no in the first place to the National Guard, correct?
And so did Mayor Bowser of D.C. He's got both letters in writing when he offered them National Guard. So that has been. But the January 6th committee didn't want to enter that. They didn't want to interview the fired police chief. And you remember,
of course they didn't.
You remember the limo driver? That girl said that Trump, tried to.
Yeah, he commandeered the beast.
Yeah, well, the limo driver asked to, and they would not interview him. So the January 6th committee was a sham. I think we all know that.
Big time.
But I just would love to see a group like Moms for America do a deep dive and bring out the facts, and expose them. And the other quick thing I'll say is stuff's coming out that General Milley, Silly Milley, had done some stuff that evidently had an agreement with several of the other commanders. He pretty much stripped Trump of his authority without Trump knowing, saying that
really?
Yeah, that they that Milley had kind of whispered that, hey, don't take any orders from him anymore. He's about out. And supposedly Milley was aware of January 6th and helped in diluting information and kept the troops from coming. But the interesting thing, Maria, is after the inauguration of Biden, they had all the 60,000 troops for what, 6 months?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And they surrounded the Capitol. They surrounded the White House. I mean, where was the helicopters? Where was the live coverage?
Right.
I mean, O.J. Simpson, I mean, they tracked him to the airport in his white Bronco.
Right.
Why weren't we having any live coverage while D.C. supposedly was locked down with no explanation of why it was locked down?
Yeah, it was pretty creepy when we were there, seeing all the fences up, and then you learned about the National Guard being there, and of course, we're trying to leave the next day on January 7th, and Bowser had everything on lockdown, so it was like good luck trying to get an Uber to the airport.
So you guys were in D.C. when that happened?
Yeah, we were a football field away from the Capitol, and everything was peaceful from our vantage point, and it was a very long day. We had just seen Trump give his speech, and, we were at a fork in the road, and it's like, well, that road leads back to the hotel, so we're just going to go back because we're just so tired and freezing cold. But then our phones were blowing up as to, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, why?
I bet you're glad you didn't go to the Capitol.
Yeah, exactly. But I was on the plane with a young man on the way home, and he was telling me how the police were moving the barricades and ushering them in, telling them to go in.
Oh yeah, that's some people have that on video, and Ray Epps. Some of those people. So you just wonder, and you remember McCarthy when he first was Speaker of the House, he promised to release all the video. He released just enough to get the Shamanon guy released. His sentence got reversed.
Right.
The QAnon shaman guy. And then they quit releasing footage.
And it's like, and you ask yourself why.
There's something they're hiding, and the FBI was panicking because Christopher Wray did not want to tell how many agents were mixed in with the Trump people wearing Trump paraphernalia. And
that's what Bongino played the other day. It's like, how could he not know?
Oh yeah, he knows, and I wonder if someday. But somebody asked Donald Trump, would he reveal 9/11? He said yes. January 6th, yes. Would he reveal about the moon landing of Israel and Kennedy's assassination? But just get this out, and he go, would you reveal about Epstein Island? And he looked, he goes, there'll be a lot of people embarrassed on that one. He says, I can, he says, and I can assure you. So that's the only. He just said quick yes to everything else, but he said if he's elected, he's gonna reveal a lot of stuff. And
I can't wait because that is been denied to the American people, and we're entitled to know.
Now I got to ask you. We got Q people. I got some Q folks that listen to my show because I've told them I don't try to beat them up. I just have a tough time believing all of the Q stuff, and a lot of the grifters are out there. You can tell just selling themselves. But do you think it gives them hope when they see this? Because one of the Q posts says, "When will the DNC switch to her?" You remember those posts?
Oh. I believe it, though.
Okay, I remember the post. So it was asked, when will the DNC switch to her? Many thought that was going to be Michelle Obama.
Right.
Well, the DNC now is, their conference for the first time ever is in August.
Yeah, in Chicago. Good luck.
And so you're wondering, okay, who could be the her? Because they don't have time to go around, I don't think, and put people on ballots at that point. You got so many months. You got to have certified ballots in all 50 states to get someone on the ballot, right? The only person is Kamala. She's on the ballot as VP.
Oh my goodness!
But I'm just saying, if you're a Q person, which I've got some diehard Q people, they keep trying to assure me that Trump's still president, and you wait and see.
Still.
Oh yeah, they think Kennedy and Elvis and Princess Diana's going to come out one day and all that stuff, and hey, if it happens, it happens. But I'm not trying to be unkind, but I just don't have that faith in that.
I agree with you. Sometimes it's just some of us just aren't willing to go that far down the rabbit hole.
Well, here's the thing I told some of them: if Q is real and he's the president, they have sunk their belief that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is still alive and he'll be his vice president. If he
right, and supposedly the guy that's walking around is supposed to be Kennedy. His last name is Fusco.
Yeah, but if they don't pick, if Kennedy doesn't resurrect, if you will, or doesn't come, I think that's going to be a huge blow to them. But I have someone saying that's why he's delaying announcing the VP, because when he announces that, he's taking back the country. And I'm going somewhere, because one thing they always say is where we go one, we go all. But the other thing they say is trust the military.
Right.
Well, the military's gone freaking woke.
Yes.
And did you hear about the thing the Air Force just did with Dylan Mulvaney and
no,
promoting?
seriously?
They just did, just a big thing here in June promoting sex surgeries for children. Yeah.
Our military?
It was hosted by the Air Force.
Oh, we are such a joke.
And so you have all this transitioning happening in the military. So that's where
sick.
Now, I know they're saying, well, that's ops and all that stuff. Okay, but again, I'm not trying to get Q folks mad. I see people so committed to Q. They're more committed to Q than they are to Jesus Christ. They'll spend hours watching videos, watching commentary stuff, and they don't read their Bibles. They don't attend church. But because Q's become the religion.
Yeah, it sure sounds like it, and they've gotten themselves pretty darn lost in it.
Well, and my whole point is, I wonder if there'll be a huge letdown if come the election November 5th, and Trump wins or loses, but no Kennedy, no affirmation that Q was real. I wonder if that's going to be a big shock to the nation, because they got people around the world talking about the Q stuff.
Oh wow!
And I don't know. Again, some of it may turn out to be true, because the tippity top in the speech. I mean, I remember some of that stuff. The picture and the watch. I mean, some of it is very. Mm-hmm. They had some credible stuff on there that turned out to be true, but they didn't have a lot of stuff. You're going, man, that's kind of fantasy land. I don't see it happening. But anyway, let's jump to another quick thing. Did you hear about the kids expelled from school because of using the word patriotism?
No, where's that?
They were, I think it's a brother and a sister, or two brothers. Let me get the article here. They were at a school setting, and it was actually some kind of a patriotic, if you will, thing. And they were told, the kid was told his speech was too patriotic, so they would not let him do his speech. So he had to sit there kind of humiliated. Let's see, here it is. It's in the Gateway Pundit. 7th grader and sisters expelled from school following principal controversial decision about free speech. It's in California. A 7th grader student, Jimmy Hayward, it went viral because he had a speech. He was scheduled to speak, and all the kids there were wearing different things. He had on a Make America Great hat, and she told him he couldn't use the word patriotism, and he said it's in my speech. So she made him sit there humiliated and wouldn't let him give his speech. So evidently he went online and did it later. How's that?
He just did it on his own social media.
Yeah, I think that's what it says here.
And that's why he's expelled.
Yeah, my love for America is my motivation for running for Commissioner of Patriotism and School Spirit. Oh, they're running for an office. That's it. It's an honor to live in this country. Sadly, some people take the citizenship for granted, whether it's disrespecting the people, blah, blah, blah. Many people recite the Pledge of Allegiance without understanding its meaning. If someone doesn't truly know they are pledging to the United States of America, they might as well be reciting the lyrics to Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. So this kid, he got a little saucy, a little sassy. But anyway, you can go read it. But the principal, the bottom line is she's expelled him from next year and his siblings.
Wow.
Over a patriotic speech.
And you know what, Macil, when you have these, I sometimes feel or envision it as just dark forces that these teachers are behaving this way and trying to indoctrinate our kids to hate our country, and I can't stand it. And they should just get a one-way ticket out of here. Don't let the red, white, and blue hit you don't hit you where the good Lord split you. You know what I mean?
Well, Cindy Fain, who's with Moms for Liberty, another great organization, her daughter was learning all these other pledges to other countries' allegiance, and so they went to Parent Day, and her husband Lemon said, "By the way, how come there's not an American flag in this room?" And the teacher's excuse was, "Well, it won't fit the flag won't fit the little whatever." He goes, "I can go down to Ace and fix that in a heartbeat." You want me to go fix that for you? And of course, then it came out that the lady was here in Chattanooga teaching kids the mantra and the pledges, but would not mention America and would not do the American pledge.
And as I recall too, Planet Fitness is just digging their hole even deeper. You've heard that one?
Oh, Planet Fitness, the boycott's on like Donkey Kong, but yeah, about the transgenderism and the guy walking around naked, and if you complain, they took away your membership.
Well, no, this is something brand new. They're saying somebody leaked a staff memo that you're allowed to wear BLM and rainbow and all this all the time, but you have to restrict your patriotic shirts to certain holidays. Like you can't wear those all the time at their company.
Well, Planet Fitness, as you know, has got this big deal on for $1 you can join. Well, that's a reason, because they've lost $27 million in their first 2 weeks.
I hope it keeps going.
Of the boycott. Well, someone says it's over 40 now. But they lost $27 million in the first weeks of the boycott. And a lot of folks saying, I'm not going to Planet Fitness, because the original thing was a lady went and said, hey, there's a naked man in the women's room.
Yep.
And I don't know if you remember, and they said, well,
I do.
He identifies as a woman. She goes, well, I'm not comfortable with him being in there naked. Well, they revoked her membership and kicked her out of the gym. Evidently, he stood in there naked and paraded around for hours trying to see how many women would complain. And I'm just going, he's going to do that in the wrong gym.
Yeah.
He's going to do that in front of someone's daughter, and he's going to find out if he's a man or a woman.
Exactly.
Because that's not acceptable behavior.
Well, and I think that woman, when she was complaining, I do think there was like a 12-year-old girl freaking out in the locker room. So I think she was trying to protect her, of course.
That was another incident. That was another incident
there
that
were
happened.
A couple, weren't there?
Yeah, the lady, that one that was the original one, and they kind of let that one die down. Then you're right, the girl was, the dude was undressing and enjoying making a 12-year-old girl uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, that's. I'll tell you a quick illustration. There was a girl when I was a youth pastor in North Mississippi. These boys were taunting her, and she was a pretty girl. But they would try to watch her go up the steps and tell her what kind of color underwear she had on. It made her very uncomfortable, made it very hard on her. And so her dad was a big old dude, former Marine. So they asked me to tell him. So we told him on a Friday so he could calm down. On Monday, the next day, I go with him, and the principal calls those two boys in the room. And I introduced, I said, guys, the girl's name? They go, yeah, and they're acting all cool. I said, I just want you to know this is his father, her father. Then the principal said, hey, Brother Mason, can you come to my office? I want to show you something. So we left him alone in there with those two boys for about a good 10 minutes.
Ooh.
He didn't touch them, but we walked back in. I think they needed some Joe Biden Depends.
I was going to say they had to change their shorts, didn't they?
Because he basically told me, he told them, I'll get out of jail before you get out of the hospital if you ever touch my daughter or look at her that way again.
Wow.
Okay. My point is, you mess with the wrong dad, and let me tell you, this dude was Battle-matic. Big
Scared
dude.
straight.
And, you mess with the wrong daughter. These guys are going to mess with the wrong person, and it's gonna be on like Donkey Kong. And then that poor father, much like the dad when his daughter was raped, and they moved into another school. He goes to a school board meeting, shows a little emotion, he gets arrested.
Yep.
I don't know. It's very, very sad.
It is, and we're seeing it played out. I mean, I know it's in scripture. What's evil is looked at as good, and what's good is looked at as evil, and that's what's happening. That poor father being dragged off to be arrested. There's nobody has compassion for him, that he's going there to complain that his daughter was raped. Oh my gosh, what kind of a society have we devolved into?
Well, let's quickly go to the Palestine Hamas thing. Some of those guys were raping girls in front of the fathers or husbands and made them watch as they raped repeatedly. Several guys would rape their wife or their daughter, and then they would kill the daughter and then kill the. Can you imagine the last thing a father sees is his daughter being violated, and they're holding. He can't do anything about it. Here's the screams.
Oh my gosh!
I'm just saying, and these folks, these kids, I'm amazed how many folks in America have just embraced. These guys flew in and were machine gunning people. Innocent three. The whole thing started with violence, and they took some of them prisoners and was raping them that very day and doing very unkind things. And I'm still amazed at how so many folks will defend and say, well, Hamas is, they're the victims.
I will never understand that, ever. And in some you hear are in denial that it happened. It's like, do you want to see some of the videos? And I remember Sebastian Gorka being one of the few, I guess, invited to D.C. to see the raw footage and the heinous crimes that they were doing to these poor people.
Well, the two daughters that were rescued and escaped, they were told, "You're going to birth our children," and they were going to. They basically, "We're going to rape. You're going to birth our children, and until we're done with you." And if they hadn't been rescued, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, I don't mean to end the show on a bad note, but we got 4 minutes left as we turn it to something maybe a little more positive, if we can. Hunter Biden's conviction. What you think about that?
Well, we wonder with our two-tier justice system, or Dan Bongino likes to say, no, there's just one. It's our way or nothing, as far as our legal system. So basically, my question is, will he do any time?
I don't think so. But right. I think the interesting thing is item 16. His laptop was item 16 that the FBI introduced into evidence. And I think what's going to happen, because his IRS trial starts in a few weeks in California.
Okay.
His laptop's now been admitted into evidence. I could see what could happen is they force Joe out. Because for some reason the media and because Andrew Weiss, who's bringing all this evidence, remember just a year and a half ago, was trying to give him a sweetheart deal and let him walk on all this. Okay? Now he's been told, no, go after him. So Andrew Weiss is obviously nothing but a lapdog. But what you're seeing, in my opinion, is I think they're trying to rough the Bidens up to get them, because they're so unelectable.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the way the Democrats are, they've got 250 superdelegates at their convention. They can do what they did to Bernie Sanders. They took it away from Bernie and gave it to Hillary. They could take it away from Biden and give it to Kamala or whoever they want.
Right.
But I think they're intentionally letting Biden look bad. Because
I could see that.
Steve Forbes, I played his 4-minute rant yesterday. He thinks he's done and he's going to be replaced with the next minute and a half. What does Maria? Do you think Joe Biden will be the candidate for the Democrats in 2024?
No, absolutely not. I mean, again, I keep referring back to the Dan Bongino clip or podcast I watched yesterday, and he keeps saying when it's not a matter of like if, it's just when he's going to be replaced. And I totally agree.
Well, that fits in with the Q mantra that there will be a female. And they said several times, when will they replace him with her? And that's where people thought it was going to be Hillary, then Michelle Obama. But at this late date, I don't know if you can get anyone else, like I said, on the ballot. But it'll be interesting. But, well, Moms for America, if folks want to learn more, how can they find Moms for America?
Well, our website is moms, MOMS, for FOR America.us. And you can find out everything about our exciting Tucker Tour starting September 4th. And you can see all the upcoming events and webinars that we have, and it's all free to the Mama Bears.
Well, thanks again, Maria, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, Macil, take care.
Bye-bye. Guys, this is Macil Duncan signing off.